as he clings to the lead from Gunnavera. IRAP is third on the inside. Taprit is fourth. It is West Coast, and he keeps on rolling. And West Coast goes wire to wire in the Travers.
Welcome to the show. It was a Travers repeat for Bob Baffert and Mike Smith. We'll recap West Coast Midsummer Derby win and what's next for West Coast. The lady is a champ. Lady Eli does it again with a win in the Ballston Spa. We'll hear from trainer Chad Brown on why that victory almost didn't happen. Miss Ella ran them all down in the Caress. She looks to add another stakes win to her Saratoga summer resume coming up. But in order to get that victory, she'll need to again hold off Fairpoint. The defending champ back for more with revenge on her mind after Miss Ella got her last time out here at Saratoga. Welcome to a Sunday edition of Saratoga Live. Good to have you with us. It's presented by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. Those colors look a little different on that canoe this afternoon, I've noticed. Hot pink, black diamond hoop, the colors of Gary and Mary West, proudly represented on the canoe. Docked in the Bob Baffert barn once again in that infield lake as fans enjoying Sunday action here at Saratoga. Day after the Travers, and a lot to talk about after what happened with those silks in the big race, as the three-year-old picture starts to take a little bit more of a concise picture here as Bob Baffert does it again, just as he did last year with Arrogate. Greg Wolf alongside racing analyst Gabby Gaudet. We had Lady Eli look sensational. We had Dre Fong look brilliant. But, of course, West Coast getting it done. Bob Baffert goes back-to-back now in the Travers. What do you think of the three-year-old picture now? Is he emerging as the one to beat?
He very well could be, and it was kind of a similar situation. I don't want to compare West Coast to Arrogate, but of course last year the three-year-old picture was questionable. We had different horses winning in each leg of the Triple Crown. This year, same case. Enter Bob Baffert with a nice three-year-old here. Arrogate last year, and of course West Coast this year. And Mike Smith, what a brilliant ride on West Coast. He had a plan from the get-go, and it turned out to perfection. Got a text from Bob Baffert a little bit before the race. Was not sure on what he should do in that race. He said, do whatever, in caps, EVER, you want. And Mike Smith said, I'm going to go to the lead. And he took it from there. West Coast did the rest. Here's the races we have coming up for you. It starts off the late pick four. We already have over $250,000 in the pool. Race 7, 5.5 furlong turf sprint. I know you and I love these races. They're so easy to handicap. Love them. The 8th race, we're going to stretch out to Amana 16th on the inner turf. Smart and Fancy are featured another 5.5er over the grass. And then the inner turf to close it out, a maiden special weight at Amana 16th. Track conditions today brought to you by John Deere. The main track fast turf condition is firm for today's action. 21 minutes to post in the first leg of a sequence that will kick off the pick four. And to help us with a little bit more on the stake, we're going to check in here in just a moment with Maggie Wolfendale. I want to remind everybody first, though, to get signed up and started with Naira Bets. Bet 200, and you'll get 200 in your account. Use the promo code PICK5 to take advantage of that and get signed up all across the country with Naira Bets. What do we do in the feature? Please help us, Maggie Wolfendale.
Right, it is a great matchup between Fairpoint in here and her main rival in the other horse, and that is on the outside in Ella's Song. But looking at two horses that are coming in and trying to make names for themselves and searching for a first stakes win is Ginger and Rye. And here for Horacio de Paz, her 5-year-old debut was a pretty impressive one as she turned back in distance to the 5.5 furlongs here, and she'll look to build upon that as she soundly beat several of the other runners in this field today, and continuing the success of Horacio this year as he's hitting at just around 30% for a win percentage, but also looking to kind of pad her trainer's lead on this Saratoga meet. Chad Brown will send out Ava's Kitten as she is undefeated at this 5.5 distance. She is 2 for 2, and she'll look to continue that. She also likes it here at Saratoga on winning winning half of her starts as well, as she looked good in winning up here just a few weeks ago. As, guys, it looks as though Chad's starting to pull away from Todd here. He looks as though he has some nice runners in the latter half of this card.
He certainly does. He's got a very interesting horse, as Maggie mentioned there, in Ava's Kitten, and then he has a couple of first-time starters in the last race who apparently have been working very well.
Yeah, we'll see, but we still have a significant amount of time until the end of the meet as well.
Yes, we do. This leg kicks off this pick 4 coming up. Let's take it leg by leg here. All these races seem difficult here today. This race, again, 5.5 furlongs on the turf. First appeal, Gabby reeled off 3 in a row, and then got beat on a turf course here at Saratoga that had a little give in the ground.
Exactly, and First Appeal I do think is the horse to beat in here. This 3-year-old filly, I think, faced pretty decent quality company for the level last time out. We saw Noble Freud make her turf debut for trainer Chad Brown, and she just ran an incredible race. So a little easier field, but guys, the main speed of the two, Queen of Spades is scratched. Who do you think kind of gets that position on the lead now?
Well, that's a good question. Maybe Decorated Jen. And here's the thing. You look at this 5.5 furlong field. Linda Rice been winning all these races, Andy. The 4 is your horse to beat. And the other Linda Rice could be the speed in here, the 8.
Yeah, I think the 4 is a terrible bet at 5-2. To take a horse as a favorite in one of these turf sprints that doesn't have any speed, and now a race that doesn't have a lot of pace. Listen, I'm not saying she can't win, but I just think taking a short price, and you're right, maybe Decorator Jen does end up being the speed. We'll see ends up being aggressive in here. The 5 Treat Her Like a Star is not that slow.
No, not at all. And you're taking a look at Wata Queen and First Appeal when they ran against each other on August 3rd. And Wata Queen on the inside, she likes to wait a little bit on horses, and you're going to see First Appeal sort of grind it out in between. Sometimes these races are hard to judge when they're bunched up at the wire. Are they a good field or are they just an average field?
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, it's usually the case. I usually tend to think on dirt it's more so the case. On turf they can bunch, especially in the sprints. And Wata Queen had a good trip in there, but I think you were better off making a run from the back. And First Appeal was able to work out such perfect trips when she got it done. And we're taking a look at Wata Queen. We can stay on her for a second. I actually like her in here. I want a horse that's going to be more forwardly placed, and I thought she fit the race fairly well. But as they said upstairs, it's a very tough race.
No, when she ran into Buffalo Miss and the rest of these runners, she really got hung out wide. Her last start, I'm with you, she showed a little bit more speed, was up on the pace. She actually stuck her head in front for a little while and hung in there for most of the stretch. So you're getting a good price right on that morning line at 5-1. Now, when you get to the 5 in here, Treat Her Like a Star, tough read. Good win last time out, but the 40 non-2s going into this condition is a bump up in class.
I agree. Running against horses that hadn't won 2 races in their lifetime last time. Now it's 3 lifetime. It's obviously going to be much tougher. And she's such a last time was the time horse. She paid almost $18 that day. Now, having said it, currently she's 8-1. If you were going to get that kind of price on her today, she's probably not a terrible bet. I don't think she's impossible, and Javier can get her more forwardly placed.
Yeah, the worry is Queen of Spades, who's out of this race to 2, just gave her all she can handle. And going into that race, she was 1 for 11. With not a tremendous resume, but this is a good effort. And I don't know if she comes back to that. I don't know if it wins.
But I think what you were saying is very, very, very true. She met a bit of a hungry field last time. Not that there are any killers in here. I don't know if Decorated Jen is going to be a turf horse. She doesn't have a lot of turf pedigree, but you do feel like Linda Rice is going to want Irad Ortiz to send her.
Yeah, it's just leave Linda out in these races. She's been monstrous in these 5.5 furlong sprint races. And now, does the horse have a pedigree? Maybe on the bottom side with Mr. Greeley. The Shacklefords are like at 9%, so not crazy. But you just look at her PPs and you're like, okay, she could be in front in here if she takes the turf.
She could be in front, and you know who knows how to look at a horse and see if it can handle the turf? Maggie Wolfendale.
Thank you, Andy. And we'll take a look at Decorator Jen in her turf debut here. Now, physically, once again, she looks very good. But keep in mind, she is a filly that the more time she spends pre-race prior to going in the gates, the more nervous she tends to become. So we'll keep an eye on her out on the racetrack and how she behaves there. In regards to the try on the turf, I know it's a low percentage, as Polly was just saying, for the Shacklefords getting on the grass. But the more and more I see from them trying it, the more they kind of move up a little bit. I've just kind of experienced Shacklefords and them actually liking it. Looking at her, though, and the fact that she doesn't have any pedigree on the bottom side to back it up, I'm not totally sold on it, to be honest. She's kind of a heavier type. She's a little more upright in her pasterns. I don't know. I'm not particularly sold on her taking to this surface, but Linda's dangerous, and I always respect what she thinks of her horses when she changes things up with them. Now, an interesting horse here that hopefully we can kind of show her confirmation, and that is number 1, Suede in here. She's named that because she's a sway back, and it's kind of a confirmation fault with some horses. You find that they're very kind of dipped down in the middle behind their withers and going up to their hind end. It's literally called a sway back because of that dip. Now, sometimes it affects them, sometimes it doesn't. Now, with Suede in here, she's a little bit revved up, and the front bandages do stay on with the fact that she's getting back to the turf here today. They were on last time, but that was an off-the-turf event. So we'll see. She is wearing that breast collar as well around her neck and kind of above her shoulders because of that Suede back. It will just help keep the saddle from slipping back down those very slopey withers that she has. Greg?
Great information there from Maggie. We'll see how Suede does getting back on the grass. 6-1 on the board. Our favorite, though, First Appeal, who had 3 consecutive victories before that defeat here at Saratoga back on August 13th. Our post-parade coming up when we return on Saratoga Live. The day started with disappointment for jockey Mike Smith, but the mood quickly improved. More on this 4th Travers victory is West Coast coming up.
Claiborne Farms Flatter is carrying the flag for AP Indy, rewarding breeders in the sales ring and on the track. Among the nation's leading sires by Grade 1 stakes horses in 2016, this year's stars include Terrace, Upstart, Kobe's Back, Amy's Flatter, and most recently, Paola Queen, winner of the Grade 1 test stakes at Saratoga. Success on the track has led to big numbers in the auction ring as well, with yearlings this year selling up to $425,000. Flatter at Claiborne Farms.
Make NyraBets your home for online horse racing and betting. Use NyraBets to bet on live horse racing from around the world. Bet from anywhere, anytime using your computer or mobile device. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up at NyraBets.com and start earning your sign-up bonus today. NyraBets, racing's best play. Use promo code PICK5 to get a $200 new member sign-up bonus on NyraBets.com.
Back on Saratoga Live. Look at Manny Franco there. He'll be on board Mo Promise. 14-1 long shot for Gary Contessa in the 7th race coming up. I want to remind everybody, play the Saratoga Showdown contest. You can get signed up and play along at saratogasshowdown.com or at Nyra.com and risk none of your own money. A mythical bankroll, and you can win 50,000 NyraBets wagering points, which is $50 in your account to play with, and an entry into a prize package for next year's Belmont Stakes, valued at over $2,000. This is Paul LaDuca's pick 4, 4x2 by 2x3.
Yeah, I like this ticket today, Greg. I mean, listen, I'm not a fan of Suede. I thought the horse had a good trip, but I'm going to give the horse another shot because the horse only had 3 races since May of 2016. So fitness could be an issue with her, and I think she'll be sharp. The 4 is the horse to beat. I do like the 5 a little bit. Treat her like a rock star and Decorated Gent, just in case she takes the turf. 4-7, I like Outstanding. Yeah, outstanding in race number 8. Race number 9, the 4 and 8. In there, Miss Ella and Fairpoint, the 2 favorites, not going outside the box. And I think in race 10, don't go outside the box either. You have a horse for Mark Cassidy that ran so good, and 2 Chad Browns. Good luck to the rest of the trainers in the last.
Difficult sequence. There are a lot of ways to go in this pick 4 in this first leg. Certainly very difficult coming up. First Appeal, I think, though, is a filly who's going to be on a lot of people's tickets.
I would think so. You definitely want to use a filly like this defensively, given the way that Linda Rice's horses have been running at the meet, especially in these types of conditions. 5.5 furlongs on the turf.
2-1 favorite, First Appeal. There's a look at the 7, Wantagh Queen. One of 4 fillies or mares coming out of a common race, which we're going to take a look at here in a little bit. But we have the post parade here coming up first. And there's the call to post from Sam the Bugler. Up at over $400,000 here in this pick 4 pool. We're going to begin with Suede. And here is the 4-year-old filly by Freud, trained by George Weaver. Eric Consell aboard.
And this will be her 4th start off of that pretty lengthy layoff, but only has 1 victory on the turf to her name.
Tiffany's Freud, John Velasquez will be aboard for trainer Leo O'Brien.
And this is a filly who comes off of a narrow defeat last time out. Could have a shot here at 5-1.
Linda Rice, Jose Ortiz team up with a 4 First Appeal.
He's a big player in this race, a little over bet at 2-1, especially for a deep closer in a race that may lack some pace.
Treat Her Like a Star comes off a victory for Gustavo Delgado, and Javier Castellano returns to ride.
And she's actually a filly that got a beautiful trip under Javier Castellano last time out, but today she might even be a little bit more forwardly placed with a lack of pace.
Mo Promise beat by a few of these she faced last time out, trained by Gary Contessa, Manny Franco in the irons.
Last time should have been a time for her, and she just hasn't put it together so far as a 3-year-old.
Wantagh Queen, Edward Barker trainee, and it's Angel Arroyo aboard.
Closer to the pace last time out, whereas First Appeal closed from off of the pace, and she's 2 for 18 on the turf.
Maybe the pace of the field in here. First time on turf for Decorator. Jan Irad Ortiz Jr. for Linda Rice.
Has a moderate amount of turf pedigree at best. As Greg said, possibly the speed, but she'd need to improve on the turf to win.
Amber Dancer added blinkers last start and got into the winner's circle. Trained by Bruce Levine, Dylan Davis rides.
I thought a very savvy ride, too, by Dylan Davis, showing that improved speed and being aggressive. Maybe he'll get aggressive once again today, but has to improve.
And drawing away stable sends Atlore's Patriot, trained by John Toscano Jr. with Mike Luzzy.
A great use in the 3rd and 4th slot in your supers at a huge price. She has the talent to get a piece of this for sure.
That's your post parade here with this first leg of the pick 4. Let's go back to the 3-horse in here. Tiffany's Freud, 2 starts back, 16th start, Gabby. She breaks her maiden, and then she follows it up with a very good effort here at Saratoga.
And it's funny you say that, Greg, because sometimes we see that horses who just are not breaking through at the maiden special weight level, they drop down in class, they get that confidence booster, and then they go on to actually be okay facing winners for the first time. And she ran okay, especially at 36-1. She closed from off of the pace, but today dynamics are going to be different.
And guys, there were 4 horses in today's field coming out of the same race. Who do you guys like that ran the best in that group?
That's a very good question, to be honest with you. I would probably say Suede of all of the horses ran the best, maybe. But I think it's relatively close. This horse was helped Tiffany's Freud by coming up the rail. I thought it was relatively close.
I actually think the horse you like, Wantagh Queen, was best in there, and I'll tell you why. You know, it says in the form that Tiffany's Freud broke last. She did, but she didn't break slow. She ended up getting a good trip. Right. And for me, I thought that, you know, Sydney's Wantagh Queen sort of had the outside trip. When Tiffany's Freud had the inside trip, Suede followed her the whole way around. So they both ran well. It's tough to really tell which one ran the best, but I'm with you. I think Wantagh Queen ran a tiny bit better.
Well, I hope she ends up doing that today on the track, because I actually bet on Wantagh Queen, so we'll see how it works out. It's hard. In these turf sprints, you see a lot of them hitting the wire together in a lot of these races. They make for fun, competitive races, and I think it's another reason why you want to be leery about taking a 2-1 shot. Not, once again, the First Appeal can't win, and Gabby's absolutely right. You have to use this horse in multis, as you did, Paul, but these races, they're blanket finishes. She's got to come from far back. Do you really want a 2-1 shot? Do you think there's a good chance that 3 of them hit the wire together?
No, that's right. You know, in the last time, Gabby, when she got tired late, she sort of dove down to the rail. It was maybe a dressed up third. That's the worry about this horse.
For sure, but as I was mentioning earlier, she was going against the likes of Noble Freud, who was very good on the dirt, and making that surface switch for Chad Brown kind of took that step forward. And I thought that she took a little bit of a stutter step at the quarter pole and didn't really finish, or had to stifle a little bit there. Not to say that she had a tremendous amount of trouble. The biggest issue with a horse like this, guys, is just closing from off the pace. She needs a really good pace flow in front of her, and she's gotten that for pretty much all 3 of her turf sprint victories. So does she get it today?
She's also gotten very good trips and rides where she's saved ground in those races and been able to very sweetly angle out, and it doesn't always work out that way.
No, that's true. And when you look at Suede, she's shown speed from the inside. Does she push to the front end? Does Decorated Jen, we talk about dirt speed sometimes doesn't translate to turf speed, so you really don't know. Maybe Suede is the play in here because she's tactical enough. Treat her like a rock star, or excuse me, treat her like a star. She's had a couple inside slots where she sort of had to push. I like that she got the rate. That's why I included her, because I thought she could sit a trip.
I find that these races are fun to sort of find horses that are prices and sort of fool around, whether it's exactas or trifectas or even dime supers, because like a horse we're talking about, like the 10 on the outside. I mean, I know she's a little pace compromised, but at least she's 30-1 in this race, or roughly 30-1. And I just think those are the kind of horses you can get in there. But I definitely think Suede could get a piece of this. Suede could easily win. And George Weaver is so dangerous at Saratoga.
Yeah, no question. And 6-1 right now on Suede with the inside photo. You know, we talked through this race, Gabby, and we're making cases for a bunch of different horses. And usually, if you can make a case for a handful of the group, it almost means anybody in the race can win.
Oh, for sure. So I guess the argument there is that you don't want to go with the shortest price right now at 2-1. I ultimately did wind up with the 4 just because I think she's coming out of a stronger race, and maybe she can be more tactical, but we're taking a look at the 5, Treat Her Like Star right now for Gustavo Delgado. She got a beautiful trip last time out. Who's to say she can't get it done again today? But Gustavo Delgado, it's hard to have full confidence with a barn who has been a little bit cold on the year to kind of pair up back-to-back wins.
Yeah, just 5% on the year from 137 starters, but we will see. As the guys mentioned downstairs, too, I mean, the win last time out, that was an easier group. So now not just trying to go back-to-back, but do it against a tougher group. With more on one of the prices here in this field, Amber Dancer, we mentioned, added blinkers last time out and got a maiden score. Let's go to Maggie.
Right, Greg. And it seemed to be that the blinkers kind of gave Amber Dancer the answer. Yes, she's going to have to improve. There's other fillies that have run faster than her, but I feel as though she might be one of those that is up for the challenge because she's learned how to win. She's learned how to do it. She has some speed, some tactical speed, and I just thought physically she looked great in here. Yeah, I've always kind of liked her, truth be told, but I just think building upon that effort, she knows her way to the winner's circle now. Maybe she can score at a price with back-to-back wins. Greg?
Maggie, thanks. Well, we talked about that light bulb kind of coming on with the 3 Tiffany's Freud. We'll see if that's the case with Amber Dancer. Finally got that win, and now maybe it will continue here as she tries winners for the first time. Here's a look at Wantagh Queen, the 7 in here, 0 for 6 at Saratoga, but she's right around her morning line at 6-1 right now, and just missed by a neck, Andy, last time out against First Appeal.
Yeah, I mean, obviously she had a decent enough trip last time out. I'm not taking her off some sort of tough trip. I found this to be a very, very tough race, and I was just, once again, looking for a horse that's going to be at least a reasonable price. Paul thinks the trip may have hurt her 2 races back, and last time out she was at least close enough the pace, not that they were flying.
No, she got her nose in front at least, or at least her head in front, and then First Appeal sort of got last jump. We've seen more times than not on this turf course, the horse that makes the last move has been the winner, at least going long. Now, short on the turf been different, but yeah, Wantagh Queen just needs to be time perfect. You see the 9 in there. Maggie making some good points, but I'll mention some about the 9. The morning line should have never been 20-1 because if you just draw a line through the horse's 2 dirt efforts, this horse has got 4 legit turf starts and was behind Tiffany's Freud barely, with arguably was better that day. The blinkers did help, showed more speed. So this is a horse with a chance at 10-1.
Really? I mean, I know you liked her last time. I think she should be 40-1 in this race, to be honest with you. I don't see what race she's run that puts her even remotely competitive with that week. Matt Ladenfield she beat last time. Let's be honest.
I agree with you.
This one, there's no stakes horses
but
in
she
here.
got nothing out of her first race, and she was just behind Tiffany's Freud. For that price at 10-1, you can't play her. But you know, she's cut in half. Maybe she was never supposed to be 20-1.
Well, you can have all kinds of different opinions on all the horses in this group. I'm with Paul. I think Amber Dancer's a little interesting. Maybe things just clicked with that equipment change last time out. She will need to improve, though, here.
She does have to, but it's her third start off the layoff, and she very well could. The light bulb clicked last time out. We'll see what happens. I don't think she's illogical at a price.
8-5, now heavy favorite. First Appeal. We'll see if she can make it 4 wins in her last 5 starts. Let's send it upstairs for the start of the late pick 4 and the voice of the Triple Crown, Larry Colmus.
And Amber Dancer has now taken her spot in the starting gate. Treat Her Like Star will be the next one in. And Laura's Patriot to the outside stall. They're all in line. They're off. Treat Her Like Star off to a slow beginning. Suede on the inside, out for the lead. Tiffany's Freud away running in second, and Mo Promises right up there too. These three out to the front. One Talk Queen is away running in fourth right behind them. First Appeal is fifth and down on the inside. Racing 3 lengths off the lead, clear of Decorator Jen. And then it's Amber Dancer to the outside. Laura's Patriot, Treat Her Like Star trails, and Suede leads the way through a 22:05 first quarter mile. The lead is an Eck. Tiffany's Freud on the outside, pressing the pace in second. Mo Promises third between those two. And First Appeal will ride the hedge toward the top of the stretch. Just needs a way on through. One Talk Queen is there on the outside. They're into the stretch. Suede still the leader. Tiffany's Freud. First Appeal trying to find a way through. Doesn't have it yet. Down on the inside. It is still Suede in front. First Appeal's got a spot now. And now Jose Ortiz sends her on through. First Appeal on the inside of Suede, who fights on. These two bobheads down to the wire. It is First Appeal who gets up. Suede was second best, and then Treat Her Like Star in a photo with One Talk Queen in 102.44.
Well done by Jose Ortiz, taking the shortland route around and just in the nick of time gets up for the victory with First Appeal.
And it's funny because we were talking about the pace and thinking that it was going to be a paceless race, and from the get-go we saw 3 horses go out and try to dictate in here. All of the 1, 3, and 6 sent from the gate, and I thought this was a huge performance from Suede, all considering that she was dueling on the inside of that 3-way duel up front. But we saw very gutsy ride, guys, from Jose Ortiz, kind of stutter stepping a little bit at the top of the lane and then having confidence to go through that small hole.
Congratulations if you just got 6-5 and won by a nose with the trip of the century with First Appeal. Good ride by Eric Cancel. It was a moderate pace, and let's give Jose Ortiz credit. He got First Appeal into the game. He knew the pace wouldn't be fast, and he put her in there, and he has the guts to go down in the hedge. Oh, a little bit of pushing and going there. They should take a look at that. We'll have to watch it again. She got her nose in front. She's just got it up at 6-5. I feel pain, Paul, for people who used the 1, and I know you did.
Yeah, listen, I used the 1 because if you look, the 1, hindsight, right? Look at the 3, Tiffany's Freud's second race on the form, wire to wire, and we thought that the 1 could show some speed, so they probably read the form and go, let's go. I'll tell you what, Jose Ortiz created a space there here late. Now, was he loaded with First Appeal and an Eric Cancel make it tight for him? Yes, but it's close to the wire. The best horse won the race at 6-5.
Well, let's look at the head-on again, guys. And First Appeal, black cap, white silks down on the hedge on the inside, certainly does come out a little bit. And is this something that, I mean, obviously it's going to be looked at. They look at every single race of Stewart's here. Should there be an inquiry sign that goes up?
Well, Eric did kind of lean in a little bit as the horse was trying to get through, so you could argue it was a little give and take there by both of them. And Eric might have gone in first, but they should look at it.
Yeah, I think it stays up. You know, we watched Abel Tasman and obviously a late, and there was something there. This was obviously more here. This horse had horse, though, to go through that hole.
But there's no inquiry at this point, so we'll see if there's even a call. And stewards are looking at it. I doubt this horse comes down, but we'll see.
And it looked like it was basically right at the wire as well.
She just bullied her way through a very small opening. I mean, she does look like she's lugging out a little bit there, so we'll see. But as of right now, no inquiry.
4-1-5-7. Yeah, nothing at all on the board. Jose Ortiz, Linda Rice. We'll be back with prices in a moment. The decision was left up to Mike Smith on West Coast, and he said, let's do it on the front end. The Travers triumph more with West Coast coming up.
And they're off.
NyraBet's Pick 5 is now available exclusively online at NyraBets.com. Bet the NyraBet's Pick 5 every race day with a 15% takeout on the last 5 races on the card from the country's best racing at Belmont and Saratoga. Find it nationwide on NyraBets.com right in the Bet Type drop-down menu or at any Nyra track or New York OTB location. NyraBet's Pick 5, racing's best bet.
Back on Saratoga Live here on this Sunday afternoon at the Spa. 7th in the books, pick 4 underway with the post-time favorite. First Appeal gets the win. Another victory for trainer Linda Rice. 2 today for the meet's leading jockey, Jose Ortiz, and owned by Luis Corrente. 3-year-old filly by First Defense. The win. Suede ran a great race on the front end. She just gets caught late from a tremendous ride by Jose Ortiz, who's with Maggie Wolfendale.
And Greg, 4 for her last 5, or at least for trainer Linda Rice. And we were just talking. It's the first time, though, that I guess nephew-in-law Jose has been on her. What's up with that?
I mean, I don't know. I always liked the filly, and I always tell my agent that I wanted to ride her. And I guess he went as Linda for after she got beat last time, and we got them on. I'm glad she put me on her.
And you can tell why you wanted to be on her. She's very, very game. I mean, coming through a narrow opening like that and put her nose out in front.
Yeah, very honest filly. I had watched her run before, and I got a space going in the rail, so I take it, and she got a lot of heart.
And Jose, the rails have been down this week. Is that ground down on the inside just prime territory?
Yeah, it's good. It's very good in there, and plus you save all the ground. You're running fresh grass and save all the ground. It's always good.
And I noticed something you're doing a lot. Job well done here at First Appeal.
Thank you.
All right, Greg.
Maggie, thank you. All smiles for Jose Ortiz. Brilliant ride there from him to save all that ground, be aggressive through a narrow opening. And that's why he's the defending leading jockey and on top again at this meet.
He's not afraid to go through a very narrow opening, and it made all the difference for this filly.
Take a look at the NyraBets late pick 5 follow along. $174,000 in the pool. Started with Frostwise for Michael Dilger back in race 6. And then we just saw First Appeal, the post-time favorite, get the victory here in the 7th. But a long way to go and a lot can happen.
We do, and we have our featured race of the day is a nice little turf sprint, so we'll see what happens.
Our bets late pick 5. It's become the best value in racing this summer. The sequence offered daily with a minimum $150,000 single winning ticket payout. Only available if you play it through Naira Bets. That's $300,000 on Saturdays. But again, you must play it through Naira Bets to take advantage of that. Get in on the sequence by playing with Naira Bets. Go to nairabets.com. We had a pretty big day yesterday.
I'd say.
6 graded stakes on the afternoon. And, of course, the Travers Stakes, that 3-year-old picture was so wide open, we didn't know what to do with all these horses. 3 individual winners of the Triple Crown. Top 2 winners from the Haskell coming back. The top 3 from the Jim Dandy right here as well. But in the end, West was best once again in the Travers Stakes.
Ganavera's on the far outside, beginning to move up as the field makes their way into the far turn. It is West Coast the leader. 3/4 up in 1:12.23 seconds. IRAP is on the move, and so is Ganavera, who's blasting by horses on the far outside with a blitz up into 3rd. And then it's Taproot, Always Dreaming has given way. Cloud Computing's on his outside. Giuseppe the Great is at the rail, and they're into the stretch, and it's West Coast. IRAP confronts him. Ganavera comes up on the outside of them, and Taproot is 4th. Furlong to run. Mike Smith getting all from West Coast as he clings to the lead from Ganavera. IRAP is 3rd on the inside. Taproot is 4th. It is West Coast, and he keeps on rolling. And West Coast goes wire to wire in the Travers. It was
if they give me the green light that I can do what I want to do, that's kind of my game plan. And I just thought it would play out that way. You know, I thought Always Dreaming wasn't running as well as he'd been running on the lead. They'd probably like to have someone to follow. Other than him, I didn't see a whole lot of speed in there, and I know this colt was fast. And this horse is really getting good right now, and I truly don't think you've seen the best of him. I think, believe me, he pulled up. He didn't turn a hair. He'll get a lot out of this, and I think you'll see a horse even step up even better.
Last-minute indecision on the connections of West Coast where to put this horse in the race, and in the end, Mike Smith makes the right call.
Absolutely, and I think he had a little bit of experience, obviously, earlier on the card with the Dreyfong, but he had a plan coming out of the gate, and that was to get to the lead, and it just shows that good horses create their own luck and create their own trips, guys, as he closed in the Los Al Derby, and the Easy Goer went wire to wire in the Travers.
He's a talented horse, and he's improving with every start against a group of horses that seem to do the opposite. So right now he's not. Is he the leader of the division? No, he's the horse you like the most going forward.
Yes.
But he's got one big win. There are other horses with one big win. We're still waiting for a horse to put another big win together. He's got to do something else, I think, to be the champion this year, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think he does. It was a tremendous performance. You go back and you look at the replay of that race in the stretch. The 2 cleanest horses by far were him and IRAP. He was in front, but IRAP was like 3 or 4 wide the whole way around the racetrack. I thought he ran giant. But there you go. There's the order of finish. Couple horses disappointing. Good Samaritan, by the way, about 30 lengths out of it. He met up a ton of ground late, but just too much to do.
I think he ran the same race he ran in the Jim Dandy.
Probably, yeah, probably. Not good enough.
Oh, no question. He's going to have to do more if he wants to be 3-year-old champion here. But if there's any horse on that list or in the entire division who we think maybe can move forward and win another big race, I would think it'd be him.
Exactly, and we've seen Bob Baffert kind of really strategically place him up to this point, trying to leave a little bit of extra gas in the tank for the second half of the season, and that's where we could see him kind of deliver on the 3-year-old picture.
By the way, if I'm Gary and Mary West, I would have stayed in that canoe overnight. I'd still be in that canoe in the infield lake. I don't know where they are, but they should be sitting in that rowing around right now. I'd be ecstatic with that victory. What a performance. Let's go back and take a closer look here at the running of this race. Of course, Ganavera in defeat. Runs a tremendous race as well, guys. And out of the gate, post 11, had some issues, got bumped around a little bit too later in the race.
Yeah, this was a tremendous effort. You know, this is a horse that if you go back and you look at his Saratoga special, we might have overlooked him. He was giant on this day. And he ran some giant races coming up to the Derby, Andy. He was the kind of horse that couldn't keep his weight. And, you know, he ran a bad Derby. Probably should have never, ever run in the Preakness. He probably ran the best race yesterday. Watch the backside here. He gets pushed out by McCracken right here. And then I guess Edgar Zayas had no choice than to just let him go.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he had to make his run at some point, and he did do that. It's hard. You look at him, he made a big wide move. IRAP made that big wide move. West Coast wasn't crawling on the front end,
no,
but let's
wasn't.
be honest, he wasn't going that fast.
Not fast, yeah.
And these horses made big wide moves, so while you can say it was a decisive win for West Coast, okay, but as you're pointing out, you're saying that you make a case that maybe Gunnevera ran the best race, IRAP ran well in here, so once again, it's not decisive. I'll tell you what I feel like coming out of this race. West Coast may be the one you want going forward in this division, but don't horses like Oscar Performance, if he could win a big race, what if he wins a Breeders' Cup class turf race? What if a horse like Practical Joke wins the Breeders' Cup Mile? I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I feel like other than West Coast, I'm not sure I want any others going forward, especially the Triple Crown winners.
Yeah, the thing that I love about Gunnevera is the story behind the horse, and he finally ran back to what he ran to when he was in Florida. And listen, he ran and won the Delta Jackpot at age 2. He won the Saratoga Special at age 2. He won a couple races at age 3. Obviously, when he got in the Derby, I think he was a little light. You got to give him a little credit to run a bang-up second yesterday. He was one of the ones that everybody sort of forgot about, and West Coast was the best. You're right. And I just got to give credit to Gunnevera because he was a good 2-year-old, too.
I'm not knocking Gunnevera, but he also may be a horse that's best kind of fresh. So you wonder if he's going to get better in his third and fourth
I think he's going to be a very good older closing sprinter, 1-mile sprinter, yeah.
And I think these guys are going to agree. We'll talk more about it later, but the most consistent 3-year-old, it's not even close. We saw earlier on in the card, and we'll talk about Practical Joke a little bit later on, of the one-turn wonder who did it again earlier on the card.
It's a good point. Almost even won the Haskell.
Time for what's trending in horse racing. What is trending after Travers Day at Saratoga? West Coast beats the East Coast back-to-back years. Hashtag Travers, hashtag Saratoga. Big-time performance, great move by Mike Smith to make that call and put the horse on the front end. And this is from Sano Racing Stables. What a race. We are so proud of Gunnevera. He did run a tremendous effort.
He had to overcome several starts and stops throughout the running of the race. A very valiant effort.
Going to take a break in the action. We'll be back with more Saratoga Live coming up, and we're going to visit a little bit later on with Bob Baffert and get his take on the Travers and his rapidly improving 3-year-old West Coast.
Visit the new Rivers Casino and Resort, the Capital Region's only destination for live table game action and where the hottest new slots are paying out millions. Sign up for Rush Rewards and play up to $500 in slots on us. Plus, we'll double any casino offer and match your tier. Rivers Casino and Resort.
Change the way you watch racing forever with the new Naira Now app. Live racing in English or Spanish. From a variety of camera angles, race replays, talking horses, race analysis, and a multitude of on-demand content, all in high definition. Naira Now is available on many platforms, including iOS, Android, Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and more coming soon. Download Naira Now today, free in the App Store, and start watching the best racing like never before.
Back on Saratoga Live on a beautiful Sunday afternoon here in Saratoga Springs, day after the Travers. Plenty still to recap from Travers Day. Of course, the New York Racing Association proud to present the most extensive Spanish language content in the industry. Luis Grandison providing pre-race analysis on the NYRA Now app, all in HD. And also race calls. Here is his sword dancer with Sadler's Joy from yesterday.
Va repitiendo y viene barriendo Money Multiple. Va barriendo por la parte de afuera rápidamente. El comando dominando Bigger Picho. Una cabeza en el comando Money Multiple. Sigue atacando por fuera Bigger Picho. Una cabeza Money Multiple. Y por fuera Sandy Joy. Va avanzando Sandy Joy. Paso de viaje. Con Julian Le Paraba.
Sadler's Joy, the best in the sword dancer, and he actually had some issues out of the gate. He got spooked with something when the gates opened here, but then he showed that tremendous closing kick, and he was brilliant late in here, Gabby.
He absolutely did. And Greg, I can remember talking to Tom Albatrani prior to even running in the Bowling Green, and he said since this horse has been at Saratoga, he has absolutely thrived. And unfortunately in the Bowling Green, he kind of made the first move into the pace. Today, or in the sword dancer, Julian took a more of a patient approach, and it worked out well.
So Sadler's Joy, 5th career victory, goes over $1 million in earnings. Well done in the sword dancer. 8th race coming up next here at Saratoga, and this amount of 16th on the inner turf, 50,000 starter allowance. Not a surprise at all to see Astounding as the horse to beat. Ran a big effort here at Saratoga last time out.
Yes, but 6-5 is a little low here on this horse. And we have, what's interesting about this race, Greg, is that all of the horses with a chance in here seem to be closers. The one horse that figures to be the lone speed is the one Patriot Drive. Guys, he's coming back off quick rest, or short rest, I should say, and getting added distance. But do you think that the pace scenario in this race kind of goes against the 6-5 favorite?
Yeah, I mean, Gabby, I think you hit the nail on the head and everything that you said in here. The horses, and listen, that's nothing against Astounding, because Astounding is the horse to beat on a talent level, but you've got turf courses that are favoring inside runners, aren't particularly being kind to closers. You've got a lone speed, as you say, coming off just a week rest. Astounding's the best horse, I guess, but do you totally trust him to make a big outside run and win this?
Well, I thought she was giant last time. I thought she was 3 wide most of the way, and then she got beat. You know what? I have a feeling the 8, Dr. Edgar, who was very, very headstrong last time, is going to show some speed in here. So I think the 8 can maybe stay on the 7, or stay on the 1 at least, for a little while.
I don't think that's a bad point, and the 8 is a possible thorn in the side. You know, Sight last time, who finished behind Astounding. To me, Astounding just ran a much better race and made that run. And Sight really just seems like he was 3rd by default.
You know what? I threw him in. I gave him one more chance, but he's one of those horses. Now, here's the beginning of the race. Now, is it a legit bump at the start? Now, they squeezed a little bit. Yeah, not much.
Not enough to matter.
And here's the worry. He's had a lot of races without not a lot of time. Outstanding completely out finished him. He was 3 wide most of the way, Andy. He put away Sight, who's just never any pressure to him at all.
He mostly saved around the first turn, angled out in second. To me, though, Astounding made a move to win the race. He made a decisive move. Okay, Kabang came and caught him. What move did Sight ever make in here? He just sort of got 3rd by default. To me, it's not even close, Maggie.
And Andy taking a look at the horse who might end up, well, being a short price. That is number 4 in here, Sight, for trainer Bill Mott and Claiborne Farm. And I've liked Sight, but I've also felt as though that he's a horse better at a mount of 16th. Let's face it, that's where his last win came. I think, you know, he is a little bit compromised, as we heard Gabby say, with the lack of apparent pace here in this race. But we'll see. He looks the part, that's for sure. He definitely looks best here in the paddock. Moving on to number 5, that is Snag, who is first off the claim here for trainer Steve Asmussen. And he's a horse that in the past has gotten really, really revved up before his races. But today, it's really calm, cool, collected. I notice he has the earplugs in. Maybe that's doing what it's supposed to, and keeping a horse nice and calm. And, you know, he's wheeling back into a spot that's a bit tougher after he wasn't able to get the job done last time for the 40. But we'll see. I like the kind of difference in demeanor that I see from Snag this time around. Now, one that's coming off short rest is number 1. That's Patriot Drive. And, yes, he might very well work out to be the speed, but he was pretty fresh coming into his his last effort a week ago, and he was really, really keen. He was on his toes. He was bouncing. The kind of freshness has worn off coming back off short rest, and not to say that he won't be the speed or that he won't run well here. It's just a difference of, I think we saw a horse that was really pumped up for his last start, and today that kind of freshness is worn off. Physically, he looks fine, though. Andy, do you think he will be the speed in here?
I do think he's the speed. I don't disagree with what Paul said about potentially seeing Dr. Edgar putting a little pressure on him. You know, the problem with Patriot Drive, and I picked him just because I wanted to pick somebody else, for all the reasons that Gabby was lining upstairs, that just wasn't that good a field last time, you know, and this is really a tougher field. So what do you do when you're weighing dynamics versus talent?
Well, yeah, that's a tough question. So you're playing a horse that you think is going to be loaned speed.
Potential controlling speed.
And you're thinking, okay, maybe not the best horse, but can he get courageous on the front end? And here's his race. He had a 2-length lead. Is he supposed to win this race? It wasn't like he was completely in front. I like that he shows some resistance right here. He's now in between horses, and he's battling. He's not giving it up at all.
And keep in mind, the horse that nailed him for second was the favorite, and the horse that won the race came up the fence.
Yes.
He ran fine in this race.
It's a winning race.
And I liked California's win, the winner last time. I just don't think he's necessarily as good. Astounding's a better horse. It's a very, very tricky conversation. You know, you're willing to say, okay, maybe this horse is a half-length worse, and he's going to have a big tactical advantage, so I'm happy to bet him, especially at a bigger price.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of the day, the price makes the difference. In
Yeah.
the 6-to-1 range with the one, I'm happy to bet a few dollars on him and hope that he's able to wire the field.
Okay, I'm with you. The horse I can't understand, Greg, is the 9. This horse right here, Space Mountain. Trip of life last time and hung like a chandelier.
I'm with Paul on that one. We'll get that horse in the winner. This is like Literata as a second. We'll get this one in the winner's. I mean, you could argue a little against the grain of the race in there.
Yeah.
The winner did wire the field, but I mean, this horse was home. The winner of that race was like dying, like begging for somebody to go
You
by
were
him.
counting your money at the top of the lane.
And also, this is a tougher field. If you're going to take a horse, take the 1.
Yeah.
Post parade coming up. There is Space Mountain, who will take a look at the post parade here in a moment. 5-1 with Javier Castellano back aboard this afternoon. We're going to start with the remaining half of the entry, and his speed makes him very dangerous on the inner turf, where speed has been so dangerous here at this meet. And Kendrick Carmouche, a aggressive send rider. I mean, I think he's quicker than the end. I think he gets the lead all to himself in here.
I agree with you. I do think that he's going to be the main speed and the one to catch, but can he do it without a distance?
Trained by Danny Gargano and by Midwest Thoroughbreds, and Kendrick Carmouche, as mentioned, will be aboard the Speedster.
He's going to try to wire this field. The real question is whether or not at the end of the day he's good enough.
Any questions at 2 is going to have the inside post in the race. Julian Leperoux aboard for David Jacobson off the claim.
He's sort of figuring it out in his last 3 starts. 2 wins and claimed out of that start from the Jeremiah Engelhart barn.
King of Spades, trained by Bruce Brown, owned by Manhattan Racing Stable, Joel Rosario.
Not the worst used at a price. Was a bit wide last time out and gets a favorable pace position switch. Post position.
It's a Son of Blame for Claiborne Farm and Adele Dilschneider, trained by Bill Mott. John Velasquez aboard.
I'm wondering if the long campaign in 2017 is starting to wear on this Son of Blame. I just think Outstanding was way better than him last time.
Steve Asmussen trains Snag, the 5, son of Harlan's Holiday, with Florent Giroux.
Taking a big class jump off the claim. He's going to need a lot of help to win this race.
Astounding, the horse to beat, trained by Jason Service, Gary and Mary West, with Irad Ortiz Jr. aboard.
If he can overcome a potentially slow pace, he is the horse to beat, but 6-5.
Dr. Edgar, Joe Bravo aboard for trainer Carl Domino.
Live long shirt alert. This horse is going to be right on the 1's hip, and I think it's got a big shot here at 10-1.
Space Mountain is the 9. Apparently, Paul and Andy not fans. It's Javier Castellano for Rusty Arnold.
The Serling-LaDuca combination working overtime to get this one into the winner's circle, but he really is overbet.
And Roman's Paradise is the 10. Blinkers going on. Carl Domino again and Angel Arroyo.
Yeah, Space Mountain, cleverly named. I think Andy's just afraid of Space Mountain to get on the ride. The 10, no chance here at 42-1.
So that's your post parade here for race 8, mile and a 16th over the inner turf. Coming up, there is a look at Sight, the Son of Blame, who was 9 for 13 in his career, never finished out of the money in that 13-race career. Of course, his best moment coming in that Breeders' Cup Classic win against Zenyatta. There he is in the farm in Paris, Kentucky. 2010 champion older male, bred and raced by Claiborne Farm. And he just recently got his first Classic winner, first Group or Grade 1 winner as well, when Senga won the French Oaks earlier this year. Blame now standing at Claiborne Farm. We're going to take a break in the action. We will be back. More coming up. Once again, the lady showed she is a true champ. Lady Eli does it again. Look out. Little feisty right there, taking a bite out of the competition in the Ballston Spa. We'll be back.
This three-time graded stakes winning millionaire defeated 20 Grade 1 winners. In the Dixie Stakes, he defeated Canadian champion and horse of the year Up With the Birds and set a new course record at Saratoga. Runner-up in the Grade 1 Manhattan and Shadwell Turf Mile, Ironicus ran 7 triple-digit buyers, including this score in the Fort Marcy Stakes. Half to 4 graded stakes winners, Ironicus has the speed, class, and bloodlines to become the next great sire by Distorted Humor. Ironicus at Claiborne Farm.
Make NyraBets your home for online horse racing and betting. Use NyraBets to bet on live horse racing from around the world. Bet from anywhere, anytime using your computer or mobile device. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up at NyraBets.com and start earning your sign-up bonus today. NyraBets, racing's best play. Use promo code PICK5 to get a $200 new member sign-up bonus on NyraBets.com.
Back on Saratoga Live, properly dressed to be out at the racetrack. Cowboy attire on.
Where are those cowboy boots?
I need some of those.
He looks great.
We're getting set for race 8 coming up. About 3 minutes to post. Let's check in with Maggie.
Joined in the boxes by a face that about the New York sports community should know. Jim Leyritz here, former catcher for the New York Yankees, 11 years removed. First, I want to ask you, what's your favorite Yankees memory?
Well, of course, the 1995 walk-off home run in the playoffs against Seattle. And then, of course, the 96 home run against Atlanta, which ended up being one of the biggest ones. But those are my two probably greatest memories as a Yankee.
And you went to the University of Kentucky. I'm sure Lexington. Is that where you got interested in horse racing?
Well, you know, Keeneland was right there, so I went there quite a bit. But then I actually moved to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, my first year in the minor leagues. And my next-door neighbor was a trainer for horses. So I had 4 acres of property. He had the other 7 acres. And he used to train down at Calder and Gulfstream. So I used to go to the races all the time. And then when I went to New York as a Yankee and I lived in the city, Billy Castle, who's an agent for some of the jockeys, was my neighbor in my apartment building. And so I started going to the Belmont with him and everything else. And it's always been an interest of mine.
And he's pulled you up here for the Travers. Quickly, quickly, Jim, what did you think of the Travers yesterday?
Well, it was great. You know, I met Chad Brown just about a month ago, and he at the Yankee game, and he asked me to come up, and I said, you know what, I'm going to come up and support you guys. And it was great to great to see the race. I didn't realize it was as big as it was. And then this morning we got to go to the Deodora farm and see some of the horses and do some of the things. And it's just been really, for me, a great experience. A little bit more than I've ever known before. You know, we sat here and watched the timing of the track today and how the horses trained. And so we had a lot of fun.
Thanks, Jim.
Welcome to Saratoga Live. And those just joining us on Altitude Sports Network, it's presented by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. The canoe painted in the colors of Gary and Mary West, victorious in the Travers with West Coast the other day. Impressive performance from the West Coast shipper for Bob Baffert. Want to remind everybody to play along from home as you watch the races we bring you. Go to NyraBets.com. You bet 200, you get 200 in your account if you use that promo code PICK5. You can get signed up with NyraBets all across the country. 8th race coming up. Mile and a 16th here over the inner turf. Greg Wolf, Gabby Gaudet, Andy Serling, Paula Duca, and Maggie Wolfendale with you here on the show as we take a look. Gabby here at the current favorite, Astounding. And that last race, I don't know if anybody has a race of that quality to go to in here. The question is, can he repeat it?
I hate to be a chalk-eating weasel here at 6-5, but this is a horse to beat, Greg. Not only was he pace compromised 2 starts back behind Cantoon, who went wire to wire, he made the first move into the pace and did all really the dirty work. But does he get the pace today is the big question.
And Andy, Paul, how dare you two go against my favorite ride at Disneyland? I know you're not Space Mountain fans, the 9.
I went on Space Mountain once. I'm still scared.
Well, here's the deal. You're afraid of the dark.
I'm afraid of so many things, Paul.
I'm not afraid of Space Mountain winning this race. I'll tell you why, Greg. When you win one race by a neck and at 11-1 you win, but right here, I would have put 10,000 to win on Space Mountain. And he doesn't. I mean, and the other horse in between is in between horses, doesn't want to be there. It's just
he's an equine chandelier.
Yeah, exactly. This is what we call, he likes to whisper to his friends.
Well, right past the, I thought I saw a nose in front, so it's not like he hung forever.
He didn't.
Just enough.
The issue with this horse, and I mean, the winner of that race, Pioneer Spirit, he did go wire to wire in there. There were a couple horses who tried to close. He was probably the closest one. The issue with him, though, Greg, is his only win came on the lead, and he is in no way getting to the lead today.
Yeah, that is not going to be the case. We've already talked about, but those just joining us from Altitude Sports Network, it will be the 1 with Kendrick Carmouche, Patriot Drive, who's going to be aggressive early, out in front. This inner turf course here at Saratoga has played this speed, but he had a lead last time out on the inner turf at a mile, and he couldn't finish there.
And I'd say it was against slightly inferior company. This is a tougher field that he faces today. Danny Gargan has had a phenomenal meet so far at Saratoga. We haven't seen him do this often, wheeling horses back off short rest, going to turf routers specifically. So it's kind of an unknown, but it also does show that the horse is doing well right now.
Yeah, a lot of times, guys, that's a very positive sign. Look, we saw earlier in the meet, it was a different case, different horse, but Linda Rice brought a horse back on 4 days rest and has won now 3 races at the meet.
Listen, I mean, horses are very specific, and obviously that horse can do it. Linda's a trainer who's very, very good off wins.
Yeah. Look at your favorite here. That's all you need to know. That's your I guess your plan right there. Dropped for 40 and got confidence, Greg, in the last 2 races is making basically him the favorite today.
Well, there is a look at Joel Rosario, King of Spades, a long shot here at 11-1, but Astounding, the 7 in the background there, just left your screen. That is without question here the horse to beat. Going to shorten up from 1 1/8 to 1 1/16. Had the lead late in that race, Gabby, last time out. Maybe if it had been at 1 1/16, he would have won.
And Irad Ortiz is aboard today, and he's a very savvy rider. He's well aware that the 1 is the lone speed in here, and this horse doesn't have to be that slow out of the gate, so maybe he gets aggressive with him and gets him into a good position early.
Silks of your Travers winners, Gary and Mary West on Astounding. They have the canoe already painted. Now can they get a win here in the 8th? Send it upstairs. The voice of New York Racing for the call, Larry Colmus.
Roman's Paradise. The long shot will take the outside stall here, 6-5 right now on Astounding. They're all in line, ready for a start. They're off. Good beginning for King of Spades, who comes out running on the lead. There goes Dr. Edgar on the outside, though, to grab the front. And Dr. Edgar kicks on to lead by almost 2. Patriot Drive will settle into stride, running in second position early. And then it's Sight on the inside of Space Mountain. Roman's Paradise to the outside. King of Spades and Astounding are right behind them, moving for that turn. Any questions? Saves all the ground, and going wide there at the back is Snag. So up front, it is Dr. Edgar, who ran 24.37 for a quarter. Onto the backstretch with Patriot Drive 3/4 of a length behind. Sight is third on the inside onto the backstretch. And then it's Roman's Paradise. Space Mountain follows in 5th, and moving up between those two and now up into 3rd. 2 lengths more, back to King of Spades. Then it's Astounding and Erad Ortiz Jr., and they're 6 lengths behind up the backstretch, just in front of Any Questions, and Snag the trailer. 49.71 was the half mile. It's been an easy pace here for Dr. Edgar and Joe Bravo. They lead at a half a length. Patriot Drive on the outside, 2nd. Sight is 3rd on the inside. Space Mountain 4th. Roman's Paradise 3 wide on the turn, just 2 lengths off the lead and 2 lengths ahead of King of Spades and Astounding on the outside. And then back to Snag and Any Questions, and they're coming toward the top of the stretch. Patriot Drive on the outside. Dr. Edgar cuts the corner. Sight is right behind them. King of Spades, Space Mountain trying to put in a bid on the far outside. Astounding's got a lot of work to do, but is coming too. It is Dr. Edgar, Patriot Drive. These two stride for stride. Sight coming after them. Farther out, Space Mountain. Astounding is closing late on the scene too, under the wire. Very tight there. Very close between Snag on the, or rather, very close between Dr. Edgar on the inside and Sight, and then it was Patriot Drive between them.
I thought Dr. Edgar was just able to hang on, and he actually did get the lead early on over Patriot Drive. Kendrick Carmouche sitting in 2nd. But a photo finish here in the 8th.
It was a terrible ride on the 1-horse Patriot Drive, who if he went to the lead and secured the rail, he would have won the race. And it's interesting to note, either the 4 won the race, who was on the rail the whole way until he angled out the 16th pole, or the 8 won the race, who was on the rail every step of the way because the 1 got a terrible ride. Not only did he rate a speed horse with the 1, but he also gave up the coveted rail position. The 1 should have won. The question is, did the 4 or 8 win?
This is a really close and tight photo, and I had a feeling the 8 and Joe Bravo was going to take the initiative because last time the horse was completely ranked. And Kendrick Carmouche decided he wanted to make this into a 2-horse race. Sight got very green in between horses. I'll tell you what, Gabby, when Space Mountain came to the outside of him, he took off again. He looked like he was dead in mid-stretch.
And we're taking a look here in the slow-mo to the finish. It looks like it's the inside right here. Oh, that's a close call, Greg. That is way too close to call. I know you're kind of leaning towards the rail horse, the 8, and as we take a look at the slow-mo to the finish again, I think this is way too close to call.
Yeah, I think the 8 gets the bob back. When we showed the lower angle, it looks like the 8 by a nostril. This is very close because the camera person has it on the 4. They're usually pretty right. I tell you what, when on the lower angle, it is tough to tell.
Well, Paul, Andy, you got what do you think was do you think that was instructions with Kendrick here to sit off Dr.
Maybe
Edgar?
it was. He did this in a ride earlier today on the inner turf course where he swooped wide and made a premature move between hopeless speed horse instead of staying on the rail and allowed the favorite to come up the rail. And he wouldn't have won. He would have been 2nd. It cost him 2nd. So it doesn't seem like Kendrick, and maybe it was instructions, and you want to be fair, but maybe it was just instructions to misride the 1.
It is the 4.
Ooh.
Wow, just got the millimeter of the bob over Dr. Edgar. So 4-8-1-7, 5-1 on Sight. Bill Mott, John Velasquez, and the homebred for Claiborne Farm, and Adele Dilschneider getting the job done. Silks that we saw in the Alabama. Bob Baffert, Mike Smith, of course, back-to-back. They do it again in the Travers Arrogate last year, West Coast this year. We'll talk to Bob Baffert coming up.
Undefeated in sprint competition, Eclipse champion Run Happy captured 3 Grade 1 victories and set blistering speed records at both Keeneland and Saratoga. In the Breeders' Cup Sprint, he dominated the world's fastest runners, going 6 furlongs in a record-breaking 108 and change. The only horse nominated for 3 Eclipse awards, Run Happy was crowned champion male sprinter, all the while racing 100% drug-free. Champion, millionaire, record breaker, Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
How do I see New York bred performance? Like this.
Disco.
Here's New York sire Disco Partner setting a new world record in the Jaipur.
Holy mackerel.
And they perform like multiple Grade 1 winner Mind Your Biscuits.
And he's pouring it on late.
Shown here, winning the Belmont Sprint Championship. And New York breds perform in the sales ring, where this filly sold for $750,000. Look for your registered New York performer at upcoming auctions.
And they're off. Naira Bets Pick 5 is now available exclusively online at NairaBets.com. Bet the Naira Bets Pick 5 every race day with a 15% takeout on the last 5 races on the card from the country's best racing at Belmont and Saratoga. Find it nationwide on NairaBets.com right in the Bet Type drop-down menu or at any Naira track or New York OTB location. Naira Bets Pick 5, racing's best bet.
Back on Saratoga Live, and that is how close it was. I don't even know if that's a millimeter.
That's a whisker, as we say.
Sight just edging out Dr. Edgar. Patriot Drive right there as well. But it's Sight who gets the win. Bill Mott, son of Blame, the Claiborne Farm, and Adele Dillschneider, homebred, with the victory. Let's go downstairs to Maggie.
Thanks, Greg. And here with Bill Mott, who sent out Sight today. And Bill, did you stay still until they posted that photo?
I did. It was close. I thought we got beat a nose at first, and then I realized, you know, watching the slow-mo that he might have had a chance. I thought it could have been a dead heat, but I've got to give a lot of credit to Johnny. He is tough in a photo finish. I mean, when it comes down to those heads and noses, he can make a difference.
He surely does. And he looked like a horse that kind of got a little intimidated in between horses, but once Johnny kind of muscled his way through, he got braver.
Right. He tends to want to lay in a little bit. He wants to lug in, and he was getting the perfect rail trip all the way around, but he had to pull out around one horse when he turned for home and had to angle out, and the horse sometimes isn't very willing to do what you want him to. So it took 2 or 3 extra strides for him to get him to change lanes. And once he got him out to that, you know, lane 3, then he was able to get his momentum back a little bit.
And Bill, you certainly had a successful meet for Adele Dillschneider and Claiborne Farm. Talk about that.
Well, it's very gratifying for me. I mean, they're great longtime clients, and really, you know, we want to win for everybody, but it's especially sweet to win for them.
Phil, congratulations here with Sight.
Thank you.
Greg?
Maggie, thank you. Well done. So it's Sight in the 8th here, and we'll move along. We have our feature coming up in just a little bit. But, of course, Travers Day, exceptional out here. The Midsummer Derby goes once again. To the West Coast and to West Coast. Back-to-back years, Hall of Fame trainer Bob Baffert has taken this race. He did it last year with Arrogate. Now he does it again for Gary and Mary West with West Coast. Bob joins us on the line right now. Bob, thanks for joining us. We appreciate you taking some time to spend with us. Tremendous performance from your 3-year-old. We'll get to the race in just a moment, but I want to talk about leading up to it. There was some indecision in terms of where you wanted him to be in this race and the text message you sent to Mike Smith. What was your thought process sort of leading up to the race, and where did it change for you in terms of where you wanted West Coast to be?
Well, I can hear Maggie in the background there, but now you're coming through. You know what? We were going up there. The thing about what I wanted to run this horse in the Belmont, but we ran him the race before, and he just was on the lead. He was up close. He didn't finish as well, so we scrapped the Belmont. We decided to run him in the other race, and he came back. You know, we felt he's got to be taken back. So when he Los Alamitos Derby, you know, Mike couldn't ride him that day. So Green Van Dyke, we just told him to keep him back there, just wait, let him finish. He did. But so coming into this race, we weren't really sure what we were going to do. When he drew the 3-post and he shipped so well, it was one of those things where, you know, we talked with the owner, Gary West, who not only is an owner, but he likes to play his horses. He's a handicapper, and we handicapped the race. We handicapped the track, watching it for 2 days, and we thought, you know what, earlier in the day it looked like, you know, he might want to be off the pace. And when Songbird got beat, I was a little bit worried about it because, you know, I talked to Mike. I go, what happened there? He said, well, you know, the track, I think the track's okay, but you know, Rosario, he was pretty cagey. That was a cagey move on Rosario's part to be way out there and didn't engage her. So, you know, he didn't know, you know, we talked about that race. But, you know, you're watching these races constantly, going through your mind. But I said, you know, we'll watch, let's see what American Anthem does. And American Anthem looked like he struggled earlier. He just didn't bring his A game, you know. So after that, I told Mike, you know what, Great Fong will be the true tale because he's doing fantastic. He couldn't be doing any better. So, and once Straight Fong did what he did, I said, man, you've got the green light. You ride that horse however you want. Forget our handicapping. You're on him. If I just felt, you know, if you have a chance to rob the bank, rob the bank. But he just when the gates opened, he was just he was there like on his own. And I could see that Mike was like, well, I guess nobody wants it, so I'll just take it. So that was Mike, you know, just playing it by ear. And Gary West said he told him in the paddock, just ride him like you own him. So, and he did.
You know, Bob, you talk about Dreyfrong, and you were saying he's the gauge to West Coast. How good is he? Because you're basically saying, hey, I don't know if Dreyfrong's really ready, but if he's ready, I know West Coast is ready. Is Dreyfrong going to move forward from this?
Well, he was so ready when he made the gap at Del Mar, and it was just an unlucky thing, you know. Like there's 1,000 reasons to get beat, and that's one of them. And what happened? He broke like a shot. He was in the inside, and the gap there they extended it since then. He was coming, and the horse on the outside just nudged him a little bit. And Mike says I gave him like a loose rein away from there. So when that horse nudged him and dropped him down, and there's a bank there, he fell into it, and he just took it because when we train in the morning, we turn around, and we back up. And so that's what he did. And so then I took him back, took him to the gate. The starter said, you know what, you should probably need to bring him back up and work from the gate when they do that. You know, you're getting the starters list. So we broke him from the gate. He was perfect. There was no problem at all. So going into it, he was training really well, and he's such a fast horse. He's a talented horse. And once he got away from there and he just turned for home, you know, you just know that he just catches gears. And he's really not a true 6-furlong horse. He could go a mile. He's just a really gifted, fast horse, and he does it easily. You know, his efficiency is really important. You know, with him, that's why he gets over the ground. He's not a real big horse, and he's all light, he's all muscle, but he was just coming up to that race. So it was after that, I think it put the air back in our sails because we got a little bit, after American Anthem, we were a little bit, well, boy, I wonder, you know, are we ready or not? You know, so I think Mike needed that. We all needed it, you know, for that. And Gray Fong just lit it up for the next horse. And I could tell Mike when he was going to the paddock, that horse usually gets upset going to the paddock. He can be a handful. He was in New York at Belmont, and he was perfect yesterday. And so when we went in there, I could see he was acting perfectly. I told Jim, he said, man, he looks great in the paddock. He said he was perfect. And Mike going to the gate, he was smiling and talking to people. I thought, man, that horse, he knows. These jocks, they know when they're going to the gate that, you know, that they know they're sitting on something special. And so it was one of those things where when we won the Los Al Derby, we all said to ourselves, that's our Travers horse. We're going to win it. But then the day up, you think, are you going to win it? I don't know, man. It looks pretty tough to me. And on paper, so it was a tough race on paper.
Hey, Bob, it's Andy Serling. Congratulations, obviously, on a big day yesterday. And do you think the value of speed in California, and you as a trainer who values speed, coming to the East Coast where we can be a little bit passive on the front end, do you think that's aided you well, especially your recent success?
Well, I think they're just naturally fast horses. They're good horses, but, you know, West Coast, you'll never see him working very fast. You know, he's just steady. He works like a minute, and he'll gallop out strong. He's not a real, you know, we never asked him to do anything. But I think it's just it's difficult here in California. We're in an island here, so it's tough, and they have to be really, really good. They run fast, they run tight, and you know, our tracks are, you know, the turns are tighter, and but they're good horses. I don't, you know, we bring them over there because they're really good horses. I mean, you know, and that's why they perform so well. Because, you know, I've been doing this for many years, and I know when I have a really good one, we manage them. We try to, you know, we want to be big and do well in the big days. But at the end of the day, it's the talent. The talent. Those are very talented horses. And, you know, I've never let a bad one up there and won a big race. They're all exceptionally good horses. Every time I win the Travers, I say to myself, how did Farrell get beat?
It's amazing. Lose with your Triple Crown winner here, but then you win it back-to-back years. And, of course, a superstar was born, Bob, in this race last year. Before we let you go, we can't not ask about Arrogate, second most recently in the Pacific Classic. How's he doing, and what do you think going onward to the Breeders' Cup Classic with him?
Well, he actually came out of that race very well, him and Collected. And I'm just going to freshen him up a little bit and just get him back. I see he's starting to come back around. I think when I brought him in here, I shortened him up. I sort of got him going. I just threw him off his game in the San Diego, and we came into a new track, and it was totally different. But now it's settled now. It's playing fair now and playing well. And they have to get used. Some horses have to get used to it. Collected, he just loves it. You know, some horses just. It's like anywhere. Horses love Saratoga. They love Belmont, you know. But I think Arrogate. I think if he would have run another bad race, I think I probably wouldn't have seen him again. But you know, when he tried to get there at the end, he made a gallant run, and when all the numbers came back, it's not like he's not healthy. He looks good. I just need to get him back and you know, get him back for the right day, and I just hopefully. He keeps moving forward, and we can just put all that behind us.
Oh, we would all love to see that and see him back to what he has been, especially the way he was here when we saw him at the Travers last year. Bob Baffert, congratulations. We need to get you some paddles for the canoe. You could be living in that thing. You got to come visit.
By the way, I love watching your show. I watch your show. I'm a great fan of it. Nothing like watching great racing on HD. But I love listening to comments, and I am glad that Andy wasn't around commentating when I was trying to be a jockey. I wouldn't have lasted very long.
Yeah, but Bob, tell everybody the truth. When you go out, you still have that picture of when you won your first race. It's your proudest moment as a jockey.
It was my proud. I felt like I won the Kentucky Derby the first time, I'm telling you.
Thanks for joining us. Congratulations again. Another dominant day here on Travers Day with a couple of grade ones. Thanks for coming on. Bob Baffert, Hall of Fame trainer, joining us here on Saratoga Live. West Coast and Dre Fong I'd be looking at a couple of Breeders' Cup winners come the fall. Of course, West Coast will have to deal with Arrogate as well. And Mike Smith going to have a little decision to make on which horse that he is going to want to ride coming up for that race. We're going to take a break in the action. Mentioned Songbird in the personal ensign coming up just short to Forever Unbridled. We'll talk about it next.
Mastery retired undefeated, winning his 4 starts by a combined 20 lengths. A 6-figure September sale purchase, he won impressively in his 2-year-old debut at Santa Anita. From there, he captured the Grade 3 Bob Hope Stakes and completed his juvenile campaign with a dominant performance in the Grade 1 Los Alamitos Futurity. At 3, the top-rated son of Candy Ride sizzled in the San Felipe, running a 105 buyer and winning by open lengths. Mastery, new for 2018 at Claiborne Farm.
How do I see New York bred performance? Like this.
Disco.
Here's New York sire Disco Partner setting a new world record in the Jaipur.
Holy mackerel.
And they perform like multiple Grade 1 winner Mind Your Biscuits.
And he's pouring it on late.
Shown here, winning the Belmont Sprint Championship. And New York breds perform in the sales ring, where this filly sold for $750,000. Look for your registered New York performer at upcoming auctions.
You're watching Saratoga Live. I want to remind everyone, Naira Bet's offering a 10% winner's bonus on any customer who hits the trifecta in the upcoming Smart and Fancy Stakes on their mobile device. Place a $1 base trifecta on your mobile device at NairaBets.com. And Smart and Fancy Stakes, take home a 10% winner's bonus. It's coming up next. It is 12 minutes to post. 5.5 on the turf. We have the defending champ in the race. That is Fairpoint. And we have Miss Ella, who just beat Fairpoint in the Caress last time out. For more, let's go to Maggie Wolfendale.
And Greg, while both of Grand Motion's horses, Miss Ella and Miss Katie May, they do look the best from the overall standpoint here in the paddock. I'm going to take a look at a filly who is trying the turf for the first time, and that is number 5, Chatelaine here. And with a race that seems somewhat devoid of pace, at least from the very talented ones, the talented, favorites in here, they're kind of reliant on coming from off of it. She has wicked fast pace as far as even on the dirt, and she has a turf hoof to her. And a lot of times these fillies, they find it much easier to carry that very quick pace that they have on the turf a lot further than they can on the dirt. So to me, she's extremely intriguing here for trainer Steve Asmussen. And I like what I see from her from the overall perspective as well. And at least she'll get a little bit of value on the board. Now, quick notes here on number 10, Ava's Kitten. If you see her bouncing, if you see her rearing and acting very foolish, of herself, that is totally normal. That's how she always is here. I think she looks great, and I think there's something to be said about the fact that she is 2 for 2 and looking for 3 for 3 at this 5.5 distance, and she certainly gets herself keyed up for it here as she will try to take down the Smart and Fancy. As Andy and Paul, horses are heading out. How do you see this race shaping up?
Well, you know, it's interesting you bring up the pace. I'm just not sure in this particular race the quality of horses and the horses that have speed, unless, listen, the 5, who knows, in the turf. I don't know how much the pace is going to really affect this race, and the truth is that Miss Ella and Fairpoint are the 2 best horses in all likelihood. I think the real question is how you analyze their respective trips in the Caress, because Miss Ella had that trouble and she got shut off, but Joel Rosario got her to settle back comfortably on the inside, save ground, angle out, where Fairpoint may have moved a bit prematurely and wide, so maybe she had the tougher trip.
Yeah, it really is tough to discern which one ran better. Obviously, Miss Ella wins the race, but watch her just cry out for room right here and get inside of Fairpoint. You're right, Fairpoint was wide most of the way. She had to steady just a tiny bit. I feel that Fairpoint took off again after she went by her there for a split second to run second. But she was still giant. These are the 2 fillies to beat by far.
Yeah, but the truth is, in a big field like this, trips are going to matter, and there's a lot of horses near that are talented.
Post parade coming up. It's presented by OCD Pellets, celebrating their 10th anniversary of supporting the equine industry with their 2-in-1 bone and joint supplement. For more information, visit OCDPellets.com. Here is Poquita Coqueta, trained by Chad Summers, and Luis Saez aboard.
Yeah, she was your pace setter in the Caress. She'll probably be your pace setter today in the Spartans Fancy, but can she stick?
Rumble Doll, owned and trained by Robert Falcone. Joe Bravo aboard, blinkers on.
And the blinkers came off last time out. They decided to put them back on today, and she shows up all the time. Just hasn't won in quite a while.
Tiger Tail Ranch sends out Wheatfield for trainer Nick Zito with Florent Giroux.
Battled some tough fillies and mares on the dirt. Back on the turf where she ran a good second at Fairgrounds.
Miss Ella, big-time performance in the Caress last start for the win for Graham Motion, owned by Jack Swain with Joel Rosario.
She and Fairpoint go back and forth and beating each other. She and Fairpoint look like the horses to beat.
Here's Chanteline, sent out by 10 Broke Farm. Steve Asmussen trains, and John Velasquez aboard.
The last 7 times she's run, she's been in front at the quarter pole, but that's been on dirt. Can she show the same speed on turf?
The 6 Ginger and Rye for Sagamore Farm has Ricardo Santana Jr. aboard for Horatio de Paz.
Huge performance last time out and was surprisingly forwardly placed in there. We'll see if she can go back-to-back.
Miss Katie May, owned by Paul Hondros and Bill Krager. Graham Motion trains with Irad Ortiz Jr.
Yeah, she was second best to Ginger and Rye last time, rolling late, but she's only got 1 win in the last 2 years.
Here's Stuart Janney's Fairpoint, trained by Shug McGahee with Jose Ortiz, the meet's leading rider.
She won this race last year, was defeated behind Miss Ella last time out in the Caress, but gets a firm course.
Stoneway Farm sends out Pretty Perfection with Robbie Alvarado, trained by Kelly Breen.
There's a horse that does have a little bit of pace, but I'm a little bit worried that she's just a Gulfstream Park horse. She's 3 for 3 there, and she hasn't run well since she's left.
And here's a look at the 11 Ultimate Holiday for Michelle Nevin, Bloom Racing Stable with Jose Lizcano.
I'll tell you what, I have seen worse 41-to-1 shots. 2 starts back, this horse was okay.
I love the cut back and distance as well. The 12 Carolina Shag, Susan Cooney, and it's Sheldon Russell aboard.
A huge race off the layoff, 2 starts back, and looked like she was going to win at 42-to-1 last time out as well. Can she take the step forward? 3rd start off the layoff.
And Chad Brown sends out Ava's Kitten for Ken and Sarah Ramsey with Javier Castellano aboard.
And Ava's Kitten had some experience going a distance of ground, but she's turned out to be quite the turf sprinter.
Going to take a break in the action. Our feature is coming up. There is the 8 Fairpoint. She won this race last year. Can she go back-to-back? She'll have to turn the tables on Miss Ella to get the win. We'll be back.
Make NyraBets your home for online horse racing and betting. Use NyraBets to bet on live horse racing from around the world. Bet from anywhere, anytime using your computer or mobile device. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up at NyraBets.com and start earning your sign-up bonus today. NyraBets, racing's best play. Use promo code PICK5 to get a $200 new member sign-up bonus on NyraBets.com.
watching Saratoga Live on Fox Sports 2, MSG Plus. Great crowd on hand on this Sunday afternoon here at the premier race meet in the entire country. It's Saratoga. Getting set for our feature. Coming up here, 5th running of the Smart and Fancy, 5.5 furlongs on the turf. And this will look at Ginger and Rye, Miss Katie May, and Rumble Doll went head-to-head. Back on July the 23rd, it would be Ginger and Rye guys who would get the win.
Yeah, you know, these horses are a cut below the best horses here, but they're not that far below. And in turf sprints, I think any of the first 3 finishers, if they get a little bit of a break or they get a kind of trip that works out for them, could get in the picture here, and they're big prices. The 6, though, is a bit overbet, I think, at 4 to 1.
I'm with you on that, but I think she was better than Miss Katie May. Miss Katie May, I think, needs 6 or 7 furlongs. She's overbet at 4 to 1, but she was good last time. She's better than any of those that were in that race.
Yeah, I want to see her run back to that race, though.
I'm with you on
that
that.
race was coming off a layoff, and that was the day to really have her at a big price. Now she's 4 to 1, and Miss Katie May, who was 3 to 1 last time, is 11 to 1. You're not supposed to have that big a swing in price, especially when they ran relatively close to each other. So I'd much rather bet Miss Katie May at 11 to 1 than this horse at 4 to 1.
Yeah.
I just think it's a value play.
Yeah, and if you look at the race, you take Rumble Doll out of the race.
25 to 1.
And he took the blinkers off last time, and the horse ran better. They put him back on. Don't know why, but, I mean, the horse actually ran okay.
Well, here's the question. Rumble Doll was 3rd, and beaten 2 lengths a lot in a turf sprint, but she's 25 to 1. The other horses are 4 to 1 and 12 to 1. I just think the odds are a little askew on these horses, and maybe all of it is just saying the 6 is overbet.
4 to 1 on Ginger and Rye. Meanwhile, there's a look at the long shot. They were talking about Rumble Doll coming out of that common race. Blinkers go on today, but she certainly has to run a better effort here to be in the mix.
And she actually, the majority of her career, she had blinkers on, so they took the blinkers off last time out, and quite frankly, I think it was because they tried to wake her up a little bit to get her back in the winner's circle, as she's been winless this year and last year. She shows up, she hits the board. She's one that you would love to use for maybe trifecta, superfecta purposes at 25 to 1.
Yeah, a bunch of big numbers on this board. This is a great race to go after some of those exotics in here. With more on this field, let's go to Maggie.
I'm with you, Greg. Totally agree with that standpoint here. Yes, maybe Miss Ella and Fairpoint will prove to be the best horses with a little Ava's Kitten as well, but I think there's value all across this board, and one that just warmed up very good was a horse that finished just behind them. Carolina Shag is 24 to 1 on the board. She's 3rd off of the left. Yes, maybe that last race, it may have taken the best out of her because it was her best career effort, but she warmed up beautifully out here. She's a big, strong, striking looking filly, and she was only beat a length and a half by Miss Ella and Fairpoint last time. I give her a look in here, especially as an exotics use, as Gabby was saying. And then circling back to the horse that's going to be my pick, that is Chanteline here. And it's her first try on the turf, and what I look for with horses in warm-up who may or may not take to the turf for the first time is that bounce in their stride. She certainly possessed it. I'm very intrigued by this very fast filly here for her connections. Greg?
All right, Maggie, thanks. Yeah, I'm with her on Carolina Shag, the 12. This could be the 3rd off almost a 2-year layoff. I know she's a 6-year-old now, but she is very intriguing at a big number. You can never overlook Chad Brown in any race, anywhere, especially on the turf at Saratoga. And here is Ava's Kitten. She comes back her 2nd start of 2017, and she gets a win at this distance here on the turf at Saratoga.
And look, I was suspect of her going into that last race because I thought she was a filly that probably wanted longer than 5.5 furlongs, but maybe she just is turning into a nice turf sprinter. Does she get the pace flow that she wants in front of her? Was she moved forward a little bit on a turf that had some moisture in it? As previously speaking, she had success on those types of conditions. There are some questions, but she's one that you definitely want to keep an eye out for.
A few in here have gotten the better of her fairly recently. Miss Katie May, one of them. Our favorite, though, yeah, 3 to 1. Miss Ella for Grand Motion won the Caress back on July 24th. Can she pick up a 2nd stakes victory and again hold off the defending champ, the 8 Fairpoint for the win? There's the Chad Brown filly coming back here as a 4-year-old and into the winner's circle, a 2-time winner on this turf course. The voice of the Triple Crown, Larry Colmus, has the call of the Smart and Fancy.
Here comes Ginger and Rye up to the starting gate. Will be second last to go into line here. And that will leave Carolina Shag to take the outside stall and complete the field. Carolina Shag going in. And they're all in line and ready for the start. They're off in the Smart and Fancy. A fast beginning for Paquita Coqueta from the inside. Chanteline is away running in second. Pretty Perfection is out third on the outside, and they're followed by Miss Katie May. Then Ginger and Rye Ultimate Holiday to the outside, and Wheatfield down toward the rail. After that, it is Fair Point. Carolina Shag is on the far outside, and then Miss Ella, Ava's Kitten, and Rumble Doll is last. 21.21 for the opening quarter mile, blazing along into the far turn. Chanteline on the outside, Paquita Coqueta, and they leave the rail open for Pretty Perfection, who is sent on through by Robbie Alvarado to make it 3 in a line as they round the turn. And Miss Katie May is just off of them, running in fourth as they come toward the top of the stretch. Ultimate Holiday is next on the outside. They're coming to the final furlong. Pretty Perfection is the leader. Ginger and Rye is closing through on the inside. Chanteline is there too, but it's Ginger and Rye who has come through on the inside, and Miss Ella's coming with her run up into second right behind her. Ginger and Rye has won. And then it was Miss Ella second, followed by Wheatfield and Miss Katie May in 1 minute, 0.75 seconds.
Ginger and Rye with the win, and yet again, quick times here on the turf course. But Ginger and Rye, huge performance, back-to-back victories here at this Saratoga meeting.
Well, 21-1 for the opening quarter, and the last time I checked, the inside is the easiest way home. I mean, horses are 7 lengths off the hedge, and the rider aboard the 6, Ricardo Santana, is just like, okay, I could have drove my Lamborghini. I don't have even a Lamborghini, but I could have drove one through that hole.
Well, I think a very key, pivotal point of the race, though, guys, was the fact that the one Paquita Coqueta, who showed speed, kind of drifted the 5 Chanteline out. Those were the 2 pace setters, and it created a lot of space down on the inside, both for the 9 in here, Pretty Perfection, then obviously Andy, the filly who made the last move up the hedge, and Ginger and Rye.
Yeah, when you see this kind of separation, though, in turf sprints, there's a clear-cut winner, and clearly Horatio DePaz's done a great job with Ginger and Rye, because she really did step forward against tougher company to get the win. But once again, the inside's the key. These rails just came down earlier in the week, and it's much more fresh ground down the inside, and we're seeing over and over again in our turf races, both on the Mellon and on the inner turf course, the horses that are inside seem to have an advantage. So while the pace collapsed, look at the horses that finished 1, 2, 3. They all moved in the 1 or 2 path.
You know, Horatio DePaz done a great job with this horse, Greg. Sometimes you want to go back. I always go back as a handicapper. What did I look? Because I really didn't like this mare. What did we look at this horse wrong? Well, here's the deal. This horse has been running for 2 years around 2 turns. He's now cut this horse back twice, and she is thriving.
Yeah, good call. I wish we'd picked up on that earlier. Shortened up last time out. Got the win. Oh, yeah, it came here at Saratoga on the turf as well. And now 2 for 2 with that maneuver. Wins it 3-1. Ginger and Rye victorious in the Smart and Fancy. 6-4-3-7 long shot. Wheatfield hitting the board at 34-1 as well. We'll be back with the prices in just a moment. And we'll talk Ballston Spa, the great Lady Eli. Absolutely nothing but class. Doing it again, a grade 2 victory to add to her incredible resume.
Grade 1 winner Lee traveled the world competing against the best of his generation. A graded stakes winner on both dirt and turf, he set a new track record in the Grade 1 Don Handicap and retired with earnings of more than $2.3 million. With his much-anticipated first foals hitting the ground this year, the sky is the limit for this promising young stallion, Lee, at Claiborne Farm.
And they're off. NyraBet's Pick 5 is now available exclusively online at NyraBets.com. Bet the NyraBet's Pick 5 every race day with a 15% takeout on the last 5 races on the card from the country's best racing at Belmont and Saratoga. Find it nationwide on NyraBets.com right in the Bet Type drop-down menu or at any Nyra track or New York OTB location. NyraBet's Pick 5, racing's best bet.
on Saratoga Live, Ginger and Rye takes the Smart and Fancy Our feature here on this Sunday afternoon. Trained by Horatio de Paz, owned by Sagamore Farm. Ricardo Santana Jr. aboard for the winning ride. 6-4-3-7 finish. And Paul with a good point here. Shortening up to 5.5 furlongs has been a winning move now with back-to-back wins here at the meet. For more, let's go downstairs to Maggie.
And I'm joined by Hunter Rankin, president of Sagamore Farms here, Greg, who sent out Ginger and Rye to take the Smart and Fancy. And Ginger and Rye, Hunter, a horse that you brought back now as a 5-year-old sprinting. Where'd you come up with that?
Well, we were actually bringing her back to go 5.5, you know, and then stretch her out to a mile, and she ran so well the first time we decided to keep her at 5.5. And I just told Stan actually in the box she might just be a sprinter, but yeah, she ran great. It's such a special place to win a stakes race, and special for Horacio. He's not here, but he done such a great job with her, and anyway, all credit to him.
And do you and Horacio, do you have the bulk of your horses at Sagamore Farm as far as training them?
Yeah, we've got we keep a string at Laurel and a string at the farm, and yeah, we train a lot of horses from there. She actually trains from there. She loves it there, and you know, it's really cool to have a place like Sagamore where Mr. Vanderbilt used to train so many horses, and we're trying to bring that back. So it's really been fun.
And quite the history there, and taking over. You're fairly new to the team, but you've done an excellent job this year. Has been very special for you guys.
Yeah, it's been great. Well, again, all credit to Horacio and Stan and the whole team. Horacio's our trainer. Stan's been buying horses for us and consulting a little bit, but it's a great team. We went to dinner the other night. It's just a little team of 3, but we have a lot of fun together, and we, you know, have been having some success, and it's been great.
Powerful team of 3, having some Ginger and Rye tonight, I'm sure. Congratulations, Hunter.
Thank you so much.
All right, Greg.
Maggie, thanks. Well done. And nice moment there for Sagamore Farm. Horatio de Paz, Ricardo Santana Jr., and Ginger and Rye. Now a force as a turf sprinter with a change in what she does now as a 5-year-old. Never too late to find what you do best.
Exactly. And they didn't even know. They wanted to stretch her out in her second start off the layoff, but they stuck her in this spot, and it wound up working well.
Going to recap more from yesterday on Travers Day. And the Grade 1 action began with a personal ensign. And 2-time champion Songbird returning. She got fractions the way she wanted them, Gabby, on her own on the front end.
She absolutely did, and what a brilliant performance, though, from Forever Unbridled.
Yeah, guys, she came and got Songbird, so impressive performance.
Yeah, I mean, Songbird had everything her own way in here. And on Forever Unbridled, listen, I'm a Forever Unbridled fan, and I don't think there's anything surprising about this race, to be honest. It's great to see how excited Dallas Stewart was. And if you hang out,
an awkward hug if you win a Grade 1. It's so cool.
If you hang out in Saratoga, you spend time with Dallas Stewart. Joel Rosario rode this horse with the utmost of confidence.
He really did.
Never used the stick, didn't mind taking her back to last. He was confident he was on the best horse, and he was on the best horse here. Songbird ran fine in here. I'm not knocking Songbird. Is she quite as good as last year? I don't know. I don't think it's that far off of it, but Forever Unbridled's a good horse, and I'm not sure people were giving her due going into the race.
No, and I think also not a lot of people were giving Dallas Stewart his due. He only had one race with this mare going from the Breeders' Cup Distaff where she was right behind Songbird. But I just think physically she is bigger and stronger. And, you know, Andy makes a great point. Physically, the way Joel rode her he rode her the same way he rode her not against Songbird. He was never worried in the backside. Great call by you. You knew that Songbird was sitting on a race where she was going to get beat by a better mare, and she got beat fair and square yesterday, and Forever Unbridled was better than her. I don't see how she turns the tables on her, to be honest.
There's never any shame in losing to a horse that runs better.
Yeah.
And as you go to the Alan Jerkins, and it was quite a good running of the first running of the Alan Jerkins. Obviously, it's been the King's Bishop before. Takaffel ran sensationally here.
Really
they just let him roll. They don't get in his way, and he runs well. Joel Rosario's ride on Practical Joke, who is the single most consistent 3-year-old dirt horse out there. He never runs a bad race and is undefeated, 5 for 5 at one turn. His ride on Practical Joke was absolute brilliance. The way he cut that corner and picked up like 3 lengths in a blink of an eye.
Made the difference. It did. You know, listen, the Godolphin Charge Sackville ran his eyeballs out. You're right. He just got beat by a better horse. And again, we talked about it's really hard to come from Oceanport, New Jersey, ship here into Albany. I get for the Travers. It's very difficult for any horse. This horse ran a bang-up race in the Haskell, and to come back and win at 7 furlongs, you could argue is just as tough. You're right. He has never thrown in the clunker, besides being 5th in the Derby, which is not a clunker from the 19
With an amazing ride. His
Yeah.
horse doesn't really want to go much past a mile. And at the end of the day, it just feels as though he shows up every single time. And when he's like More Than Ready a few years ago, who was just a good horse but a better sprinter.
And Chad Brown called him his iron horse, and now he's got an interesting decision to make because he is undefeated around 1 turn, but he's better at a mile. So Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile this year is 2 turns, but right now it sounds like Chad Brown sort of leaning that way. Meanwhile, Ballston Spa, of course, Lady Eli making her return. Kind of a last-minute move here. We'll have more on that in a moment. Facing stablemate Antino in a loaded field. She did her thing again.
Oh, set down to Lady Eli. Lady Eli has taken the lead. Dickinson is next. Roca Rojo finishing fast on the outside, but it's the resilient Lady Eli winning the Boston Spa.
3 years and a day after she won her debut right here at Saratoga, Lady Eli does it again in the Ballston Spa. Chad Brown says she really is the horse of a lifetime, considering everything she's overcome as well.
And she has an absolutely devastating turn of foot, and that's exactly what we saw from her performance in the Ballston Spa. Really, anything that goes wrong, she overcomes it. She's been a phenomenal horse to watch throughout her career.
And that is one extra chance. We got to see her here at Saratoga. We thought that was it in the Diana, but Gabby had a chance to catch up with Chad Brown. Here's more on that story.
Here with trainer Chad Brown after a big Saturday, and Chad will first start off with Practical Joke, obviously coming out of the Haskell and an excellent performance in the H. Allen Jerkins yesterday. In hindsight, what'd you think of that performance?
He ran great. I was relieved to see him fire once again. It's his 3rd race in 7 weeks, and we've asked him to do a lot of different things, from running 2 turns and I just like the Haskell, a difficult race where he was battling all the way to the wire and wheeling him right back again in 4 weeks and cutting him back all the way to 7. And I don't know, the horse just ran great again. He continues to amaze me.
All right, now shifting gears to Lady Eli, another incredible performance that this mare gave yesterday. You called a little bit of an audible. Initially, we're just going to point towards the Flower Bowl out of the Diana victory. What made you change your mind?
I was just staring at that lengthy layoff from the Diana to the Flower Bowl, and with the Flower Bowl being at 1.25 miles, off that long a rest, and you throw in the possibility of maybe catching some soft turf going 1.25 miles, which makes it even tougher for a horse that doesn't really want any give in the ground. It became a big risk to me in my mind. So with a clear forecast for yesterday and the opportunity to run right out of our own stall and keep her in form, I thought it was best to just run her and keep her fit, keep her in form, and then it gives me the option now to maybe just train her up to the Breeders' Cup if I want.
And Chad, obviously talking about Lady Eli, her race on Saturday was likely her last race at Saratoga, as she will likely be sold in November. Just talk about her and really reflect on her career thus far for you and really your entire team. I know she's really touched a lot of people on your team.
Well, she's a horse of a lifetime, very rare horse to have. We feel lucky that we've had her this for her career, and she's taught us all a lot about the will to win, the will to survive, and what horses can overcome, and a lot about teamwork. About when you're faced with a lot of adversity and you reach out to the most talented individuals you can, and if everyone's on the same page and working towards a common goal, and great things can happen. And, it's been an incredible story, and we're just fortunate to be part of it.
Absolutely, Chad. She's inspired those who she's been around, and even her fans as well. Congratulations on Saturday.
Thanks.
Well, we're so glad as we look at Lady Eli's resume, they called that audible, and fans here at Saratoga got to see her one more time.
And she's a feisty little thing, too. She is resilient through and through.
course, going to be offered in the Keeneland November breeding stock sale after the Breeders' Cup. So another chance to see Lady Eli coming up. We'll see if she can get it done and another Breeders' Cup win to her resume. Still to come, By the Moon, brilliant in the ballerina. Second grade win of her career. We'll talk about it next.
The big day is here. You've told everybody. You've dressed the part. Your heart is pounding in your chest. Your horse is rolling down the stretch. He's coming. He's closing. He's the winner! You're a winner with Parting Glass Racing. PartingGlassRacing.com. PartingGlassRacing.wow!
Back on Saratoga Live, nightcap coming up in 17 minutes. We'll talk that race in just a little bit. Going to wrap up the Grade 1 Ballerina, however, from the Traverse Day undercard, and By the Moon with the win with Rajiv Mirage for Michelle Nevin.
And she really did, By the Moon, look like the main speed in here, Greg. And then we saw Highway Star, though, with a valiant performance in finishing second. But By the Moon getting the trainer's second overall Grade 1 victory.
Close second in this race last year. Gets over the hump this time around. Second Grade 1 win of her career. And now the path being planned out to get to the Breeders' Cup Fill-In Mare Sprint. I want to remind everybody to get signed up and started with Naira Bet. You can do so all across the country. Bet 200 and you get 200 in your account when you use the promo code PICK5. Go to NairaBets.com. Again, all across the country to get signed up. Our final race of this Sunday afternoon coming up, mile and a 16th over the inner turf, and a group of maiden special weight runners in here. And right now it is Geo Game, Gabby, who does have one race under her belt, got a little education to racing on a race that was taken off the turf.
Exactly, and the intention obviously was to try to get to the turf, considering that she is kin to a horse by the name of Isotherm, who's a Grade 2 winner going long on the turf. So this is the ideal spot, and experience is always important in these baby races.
Guys, let's take a look at that first star. What are your thoughts here on Geo Game?
She had trouble to start on the wrong surface. She's on the right surface today. Isn't that really the most important thing? What happened to her last time? I mean, for me, if I want to bet her, and I wouldn't bet her at 5-2, I wanted her to run last in that race with no trouble because I couldn't care less what she does in the dirt. She's bred for turf and meant for turf.
I think she got a ton of experience out of this race. I know she broke slow, but watch right here. She's sort of like green. She doesn't really want to go through horses. She didn't want to go through horses on the backside of this race, but I like this right here. When he hits her left-handed, she takes off, and now she's going to split these horses and run a solid second. She's no match to the winner, but this is experience.
I do think, though, that the inside was the place to be that day, and the problem that I have is that she appears to have run as well as that she did. And so therefore she's 5-2. So she kills your value because of a race she ran in the dirt. Isn't the point of her that you want to bet her because she's a half to isotherm who broke his maiden first time on the grass for George Weaver here, won a stake in California last year or earlier this year. It's hard to keep track of time, actually. I think earlier this year in California. The pedigree says turf. I don't love the fact that she's ran so well on the dirt. He tracks too much money.
Yeah, it's true. He kills your price.
Right.
So she will stretch out. She'll get on the preferred surface. The connections wanted for her first time out this afternoon. 5-2 favorite. With more in this field, let's go to Maggie.
And I respect her getting on the turf for the first time, but I do feel as though there are some dangerous first-time starters here in this field to cap off this Sunday card, beginning with number 3, Cool Beans, who will go out for trainer Brad Cox, and it's not too shabby in these kind of spots, as you can see. But what I really like about Cool Beans was that workout video that we saw at the Fasig-Tipton March sale at Gulfstream Park, in which she worked over the dirt. Now, oftentimes, because it is an earlier sale in the year, they won't really ask the horses for too much. So she really wasn't asked much at all for that 10-2 Fist Breeze, and she looked very good in doing it. And what I noticed, though, is that she moved much more like a turf horse, so that bodes well here. And what I see in the paddock today is a big, strong, young filly who looks well suited to these conditions. I like what I'm seeing from Cool Beans a lot here. I think she's dangerous, but she's gonna have to run in the face of 2 Chad Brown horses, and we all know how good Chad Brown is with his 2-year-old first-time starting turf horses. Data department is where we'll start first. The daughter of More Than Ready. She's very calm, cool, professional here in the paddock, looks well suited to these conditions, has a huge turf hoof on her, and she looks ready to go. I like everything from her, and she's just one that has to be considered in this kind of spot. Now, her stablemate is the Gray filly by Creative Cause, and I remember Paulie touching on this, in that $575,000 for Creative Cause is quite a bit, as we will also look at her sales workout. 21 flat here, under some mild urging, but some really good reach. And what I noticed that she seemed to get stronger and moving better the further the kind of breeze went on. So she's a filly that's well suited to going long first time out. She looks it here in the paddock, but she was also, with that being said, she was also pretty much on the bridle when she walked in here. So I wouldn't be surprised if she is actually has a little bit of speed coming out of the gate, but will be able to sustain it. So all 3 of these first-time starting fillies are very, very dangerous here today, guys.
All right, well, the post parade coming up for the nightcap in just a little bit. Strange to see, data dependent for Chad Brown. Big price on the board at 6-1 right now. We're going to take a break. When we come back, well, tomorrow, I should say, the man who has taken care of jockey Mike Smith for years and years and years in New York will have the story of Harry Rice, the valet, tomorrow.
Make NyraBets your home for online horse racing and betting. Use NyraBets to bet on live horse racing from around the world. Bet from anywhere, anytime using your computer or mobile device. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up at NyraBets.com and start earning your sign-up bonus today. NyraBets, racing's best play. Use promo code PICK5 to get a $200 new member sign-up bonus on NyraBets.com.
Post parade coming up here for the nightcap at Saratoga. Here's the 2 Geo game. Julian Leperoux for trainer Mark Cassie, owned by John Oxley.
She has the benefit of a race under her belt on the dirt, but she really has a pedigree for turf.
Cool Beans, a first-time starter for trainer Brad Cox, Magic Cap Stables with Florent Giroux.
Has a very interesting pedigree on the bottom side, half to a pretty quick turf sprinter, and is taking money right now at 4-1.
Al Stahl sends out Amity, daughter of Street Sense, for Columbine Stable, and Dylan Davis rides.
The dam went in the turf once. This is her first full and was not successful. She got a 73 buyer in her only turf race.
Fortune Street had to chase a talented firster for Chad Brown. That was on the dirt last out, separation of powers. Blinkers on today, and Junior Alvarado aboard.
And this could be the right surface switch. She is by Bellamy Road, but she's out of a mare who has a little bit of turf influence on the bottom side.
Data dependent, one of the 2 in here for Chad Brown. Klarovich Stables owns, Javier Castellano rides.
Of the 2 Chad Brown runners, the one taking less money, but still pretty live on the board.
Make Merry first time out for Kieran McLaughlin, Godolphin Racing with Joao Rosario.
By Medaglia d'Oro, and out of a mare that who makes her a half to Grace Hall. Definitely looks like she'll like the 2 turns.
My New Daughter first timer by Data Link out of an El Prado mare. And Sam Camacho Jr. rides.
Not commanding much attention on the tote board, in a pretty tough spot for her debut.
Bill Mott trains his first timer, Love Mo, the 9 with Jose Lescano for Silverton Hill.
Send out for connections that kind of take their times with maidens, but is by precocious sire, Uncle Mo.
Significant form, the other Chad Brown runner in here, daughter of Creative Cause with Arad Ortiz Jr.
Half to a runner that earned over $230,000 on the turf and taking a lot of money.
Yeah, that was Hey Dakota, 6-time winner on the grass. Here's the 11, Maddie's Magnum for David Donk with Eric Cancel.
Don't forget about this filly drawing in off the also, eligible for a barn that's been doing sneaky well here at Saratoga.
All right, well, Chad Brown with 2 in the race, and the one who was the shorter price in the morning line is the bigger price right now. Data dependent, the 6 at 6-1, Gabby.
It's pretty funny to see that, actually, because it looks like the 6 data dependent has been working very forwardly with good company in the morning. We see her right now taken away from the pony under Javier Castellano, getting a good warm-up. And usually you have to pay attention to the board in these 2-year-old races. And from what I see, I don't know if that's a good sign.
Yeah, guys, I mean, Gabby brings up a good point. We talk about it a lot, especially in the 2-year-old races. Let the tote board be your friend. And right now, between the 6 and the 10, it's the 10 who's taking the money.
That's true. But, you know, we've seen it before where one that's taking less money does win the race. I've heard some whispers that both of these horses can run, whether or not the 10 is much better. The 10 may be fast.
I'm with you
that
on
means that horse is getting the distance. I don't know. All I know is Chad Brown seems to win with these horses, and nobody made multi-race bets and didn't use both of them.
No, yeah, you're right. Listen, the 6 and the 10 guys are about even in the pick 3s, pick 4s, whatever. I think Annie's dead on. This horse is going to be the quicker of the 2. Look for the 10, been on her toes the whole time to go towards the front end, and look for the 6 to lay back. Maybe that's why the money's going that way.
Yeah, and, you know, the 10 still has to overcome an outside post.
Yes, that's
maybe
true,
she's
too.
quick, maybe she clears, and that'll make it tough. It's an interesting race. I mean, I love these races just because you will see some nice, promising horses out of them. And obviously in the past, Chad Brown's done well in them, but there's a lot of good trainers in this field, including Kieran McLaughlin. What's interesting about the 7, Make Merry, this horse, I don't know that it's a great sign seeing her on the turf. Now, maybe they feel she wants to go long, being after Medaglia d'Oro, but she's a half to Grace Hall, who was over $1 million winner on the dirt. And Dam's produced 2 horses trying to turf ball, and neither of them had any success.
She's got a tremendous pedigree. I think for Kim's swing pedigree, she can go both ways. The worry with her is reportedly in the morning she's been breaking slow from the gate. Maybe that's why they want her to start at a mile and a 16th. She looks good in the Godolphin Blue on the racetrack. She's getting played 9-1. I mean, considering that the 10 is taking all this money, all the other horses are staying pretty even on the morning lines except the 2. Now, the 5, Fortune Street, 20-1. Wolfie mentions the Chad Brown filly is a monster, and she chased her home. Now she's got to try to transfer this to turf. She's got a little turf pedigree.
Yeah, she's got a little turf pedigree. Listen, I'm not going to – she's a huge price. She's 20-1. What do I know? Maybe he'll move on the turf. I mean, these are fun races. I think it's not a question necessarily who we like. We'll provide you some information on some pedigrees. These are good races to fool around if you could find a price somewhere and try to get them in there. The chalks don't have to win.
20-1, getting on the turf here for the very first time. So we will see what happens. With more on one of the Chad Brown runners, let's check in with Maggie.
Greg, I know you're jealous. I'm joined here by Stephanie Seymour, who is part owner of Significant Form. And Stephanie, oh, she's all your horse, excuse me. Your husband gifting her to you for your birthday. How exciting was that?
Yes, very exciting. So she's the first horse in my name.
And a filly that was bought at the sale. Who picked her out for you guys?
Chad Brown.
This is all Chad, so you're very good trainer to rely on. And as far as horse racing is concerned, I know your husband kind of introducing you to it, but how long have you been coming to Saratoga, and how much do you enjoy it here?
Well, I've been coming to Saratoga to the races for, like 25 years. Yeah, it's aging me. But I love it.
And to own a horse, I mean, what does that mean to you? I know you've done a lot in your lifetime, a lot that, all of us are kind of, I don't know, envious of, but owning a racehorse, is kind of first on your list?
Well, it's great to have my racing license, and I plan on, continuing, and hopefully I'll get some more horses and get a little bit more in the game. So this is just the beginning.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing you more here at the races. You certainly brighten up the stands a bit, Stephanie. Very nice to talk to you and meet you, and best of luck here.
Thank you.
All right, Greg.
All right, Maggie, thanks. Former supermodel enjoying the races here, and we'll see how Significant Form does first time out. Got to be a little nervous with this one.
For sure, but Chad Brown.
But a good nervous.
Yeah, but Chad Brown knows how to pick out some horses. He's had success with that in the past, so I think they've got a good hand here with Significant Form.
Yeah, I've heard that Barnes won a few races at the meet.
I'd say.
5-2 on Significant Form. And again, the other Chad Brown runner, the 6 data dependent at 6-1. Yeah, word is both can run a little bit. So where do you wind up? You don't know. First time out, we don't know what we're going to get.
Well, again, you kind of have to pay attention to the board, and right now we're looking at the 2 Geo game, and she's probably taking money because she has experience, Greg. She finished second on the main track, probably not her preferred surface with trouble, and she's finally getting to her preferred surface in terms of pedigree, and she's well posted towards the inside.
See the analyst selections right there. By the way, we have a loose horse here. Dump the rider. That is My New Daughter. Daughter of Data Lincoln here, who Outrider is trying to catch up to her right now. And they're some of the best in the business, so we'll keep you updated. For more, let's head downstairs to Maggie.
And as we just heard from Larry Colmus and you, Greg, My New Daughter, she is a bit of a troublemaker. And no, I'm not talking about Baby Grace on my end, but this filly for trainer Jaime Mejia was a late scratch a week ago for kicking her jockey Paco Lopez, and I do believe that we see Sammy Camacho maybe down on the track at the moment. He is sitting up. I know that the paramedics are attending to him, but it's good to see him sitting up. And My New Daughter will be a late scratch here today.
Thank you. So we hope everything okay with Sam Camacho Jr. being attended to right there. But, yeah, the 8 coming out, so still not completely wrangled. And we'll let you know when she is, and things are safe with her. In the meantime, everyone else patiently waiting here. And hopefully, My New Daughter gets wrangled here, and she'll have to wait for another day for a second time now.
I think it looks like the Outrider did actually catch her. And, Greg, that is not an easy thing to do. You're thinking about horses who are pretty much going at not their max speed, but pretty quickly. And to be able to catch them on the fly, well done. It looks like the Outrider has caught her from my eyesight here.
All right, so on there they have. So well done by the Outrider to wrangle her. Daughter of Data Link now scratched again. And so the bad acting continues here, and a little more work in the morning with this one, perhaps.
Maybe third time will be a charm, but definitely not the second, as she is a late scratch.
And not going to really impact the race in terms of much in here. She was a huge price on the board anyway as we get a look here at the 11. And this is an interesting runner in here. Maddie's Magnum. David Donk been having a tremendous meet. He had a great meet late at Belmont when he started to heat up, guys. And Now Maddie's Magnum gets in first time out. What do you guys make of this horse?
Holy Batman.
Right. Is it Batman or Gate Dancer? You said to me, is that Gate Dancer? Of course, Gate Dancer, a great horse in the past, and he used to wear the odd blinkers.
Yeah.
Listen, I mean, the dam was 1 for 28 in the turf, but she did win in the turf. It's really not that much of a pedigree on the dam side, but David Donk, he's had a big price first-time starter win a turf sprint, 2-year-old, paid 38 to 1, so who knows?
It just shows you. Last year, David Donk was 1 for 37 at this meet, but he's a darn good trainer, and he got rolling at the end of the Belmont meet. Wolfie, you even mentioned it. He's carried it into this meet, and then 20 to 1 on a first-time starter.
That's quite a look. That is really cool.
It is. You know what?
Maybe Gabby can help us with this.
Could you go as that horse with those earmuffs for Halloween?
better than going as myself.
I think it'd be a good look.
Yeah, why not? And they're talking about the equipment that's on this filly's head, and they kind of look like blinkers, Greg, but they're definitely not used for that. There's no cup on the blinkers. They're just pretty much used to settle, almost as what earmuffs would be used for.
And there's a look at Sam Camacho Jr., who was thrown from My New Daughter, the 8, who was a late scratch. You saw the outrider catch up with the filly, and good news to see Sam Camacho there standing on his own 2 feet. So positive sign.
Absolutely, and it looks like they took all the regular precautions there, but good to see him standing up.
So fillies making their way onto the turf course coming up. And our favorite remains that filly with experience, although it came on a race that was taken off the turf here at Saratoga. And that could be a big benefit here in a group with a lot of inexperienced runners. So we take a look at our Saratoga Showdown here, a free online contest, which you can be part of each and every day, and no reason not to be. You don't risk any of your own money. Great way to get introduced to racing if you're new to it. See how to wager a little bit with a mythical bankroll, and you can win real prizes like 50,000 wagering points in your NyraBets account, and win an entry into a prize package for next year's Belmont Stakes, valued at over $2,000. Again, go to SaratogaShowdown.com to play along and have a little fun. This horse right here, the 9, Love Mo, Bill Mott, Jose Lizcano, and it's the first foal from Done in Love, who was 0 for 3 on the turf.
And we'll see, but obviously it's always a feather in the cap to be sired by Uncle Mo. His progeny has done well on multiple different surfaces, and they've done well early, so that does bode well for her. But we've always seen Bill Mott to kind of take a more patient approach on his young horses.
Loading up, and the favorite, Geo Game, the 2. The 2 Chad Brown runners, the 6 Data Dependent at 5 to 1. The 10 Significant Form. Second choice on the board here at 3 to 1. Let's send it upstairs to the voice of horse racing's Triple Crown for the call. Larry Colmus with the nightcap here from Saratoga.
Last few fillies going into the starting gate as Love Mo takes her position in line. Amity's just a little bit reluctant to come up, but looks like she has come forward now. Here is Significant Form going in. Fortune Street takes her spot, and the last one to load will be Maddie's Magnum. Goes in. They're all in line. They're off. Data Dependent a step slow to begin. It was a good start for Fortune Street, who goes out to the early lead. On the inside, Geo Game and Love Mo away running in third to their outside. And then it's Make Merry in fourth, followed by Cool Beans fifth. Hard held and racing 6 lengths off the lead, right against the hedge, going for that turn. Then Significant Form, who took a stumble there, may have hit the hedge there. And then right behind was Amity, and then losing ground on the turn, going extremely wide, was Data Dependent, who carried out Maddie's Magnum. So a lot going on that first turn. The first quarter was 23.53 seconds, and they're on to the backstretch with Fortune Street the leader. The leader over Love Mo, who's on the outside running along in second position. Now going up on the outside is Cool Beans into third. Geo Game is fourth down on the inside, 2.5 lengths off the lead, clear of Make Merry. Significant Form on the inside. It's another 2.5 to Amity, Data Dependent, and on the outside is Maddie's Magnum. The half was 48.90 seconds, racing for the far turn. It is Fortune Street up top. Love Mo 3/4 of a length behind second. Cool Beans third to the outside. Geo Game rides the hedge in fourth, 2.5 lengths from the front. Significant Form's made a bid now. Up into fifth, comes to the outside and is starting to gain ground and do it well. Data Dependent is also getting moving, 6 lengths off the lead as they come to the top of the stretch. It is Love Mo, the leader. Significant Form charging on the far outside. Cool Beans in between horses. Geo Game is there. Fortune Street is next. And here comes Significant Form on the outside to grab the lead. Significant Form to the front. Cool Beans is second as they come down to the line. Iran Ortiz in Significant Form pull away in the end to win. And then it was Cool Beans followed by Geo Game and Data Dependent. 143.36 the final time.
We had a whole lot going on in this race, and there's your winning owner. Stephanie Seymour Brandt, first-time starter, gets the job done with an interesting trip along the way.
This was a bizarre race from the get-go. We thought that we might have seen a little bit more speed from the 10 out of the gate, but going into the first turn, as you can see here, she had been running spotty, really going into the first turn. We see her, it actually looks like she clips heels with the 3 that's in front of her. She doesn't hit the hedge, it appears. She clips heels with the 3 in front of her, and then unfortunately from there just keeps on running a bit spotty and forcing the 6 and 11 to go wide into the first turn. But guys, the way that she was running in the first half of the race, she kind of figured it out as the race went along.
Both horses for Chad Brown ran very well in this
did.
race. I mean, because the 6 was compromised, the 10 went down, and they had to wait when the 10 found room and follow them. They're both runners. And this horse, wow, they overcome this kind of trouble as 2-year-olds.
Yeah, really hard to see what happened on that first turn. They were both green, the 10 and the 4. I'm sure the stewards are going to take a look at it, but this gray looked the part and was green and still got the job done.
Yeah, to overcome that trouble, clipping heels, rough trip, and still win. That is incredible. 10-3-2-6, Significant Form. First time out, gets the job done. We're going to take a break in the action. George Foreman was on hand on Travers Day, 13-year-old disciple of Elizabeth Pitcairners, one of the most celebrated violinists in the Capital Region, showing off his skills. Well done, George Foreman, on Travers Day here at Saratoga.
Undefeated in sprint competition, Eclipse champion Run Happy captured 3 Grade 1 victories and set blistering speed records at both Keeneland and Saratoga. In the Breeders' Cup Sprint, he dominated the world's fastest runners, going 6 furlongs in a record-breaking 108 and change. The only horse nominated for 3 Eclipse Awards, Run Happy was crowned champion male sprinter, all the while racing 100% drug-free. Champion, millionaire, record breaker, Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Visit the new Rivers Casino and Resort, the Capital Region's only destination for live table game action and where the hottest new slots are paying out millions. Sign up for Rush Rewards and play up to $500 in slots on us. Plus, we'll double any casino offer and match your tier. Rivers Casino and Resort.
Kentucky Derby winner Orb has emerged as one of the nation's most promising young stallions. The leading freshman sale sire of weanlings, yearlings, and 2-year-olds, his first runners are off to a fast start. His debut winners have dazzled on the track, scoring on both dirt and turf. In the sales ring, his yearlings continue to command top prices, including the $1 million co-sale topper at Saratoga. Outstanding value, outstanding results, or standing at Claiborne Farm.
Change the way you watch racing forever with the new NYRA Now app. Live racing in English or Spanish. From a variety of camera angles, race replays, talking horses, race analysis, and a multitude of on-demand content, all in high definition. NYRA Now is available on many platforms, including iOS, Android, Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and more coming soon. Download NYRA Now today, free in the App Store, and start watching the best racing like never before.
We are back on Saratoga Live. That is Irad Ortiz Jr., the rider on your unofficial winner significant form. We do have a steward's inquiry and objection into the first turn concerning your winner, 10-3-2-6. Let's send it down to Maggie for more.
As we see Irad Ortiz explaining what happened on that first turn, guys, he spoke to Chad Brown right when he jumped off. I just talked to Chad, and he said that she was just being very green, that she spooked from something down on the rail, and it really kind of tripped her up. Unfortunately, the 4 was to her inside when it happened. I mean, there's really nothing that Irad did intentionally whatsoever. I mean, obviously, the other horses were affected, but still, it happened in the first turn. Likely, we typically don't see things, changes going into first turns in this early in the race, Greg.
All right, that would be Amity that she impeded near the 4-horse, and that was simply because of maybe the stumbling or the clipping heels. But that would be odd here as you take a look at Chad Brown talking with Irad Ortiz Jr., guys.
Because the 4 has a minor steady, but in doing so, data dependent goes out and bolts almost goes out a few paths, interferes one behind them. So there was a ripple effect to this. There could be a disqualification.
Yeah, there could be. This could be the chain effect. Now, we talked to the stewards before. Does it change the order finish? Probably not. The 10 was obviously best because she won the race, but you don't know if the 6 was second best. That's the key.
You don't know if she was going to win.
That's the key, yep.
All right, so this is hanging in the balance. We actually have to sign off here coming up, so we'll have to send you to the NYRA Now app, or you can go to NYRABets.com to see how this plays out, because as of right now, this is very much hanging in the balance. Unofficially, 10-3-2-6, as Chad Brown and Irad Ortiz Jr. talk over what happened during the running of this race. So again, for results, head to the NYRA Now app or go to NYRABets.com to see how this played out, because our show coming to an end. We will be back on Monday, 4 Eastern time. About 5 seconds to get a result before we say goodbye. I don't think we're going to get it in time. So, one more day of action before